and this most strange occurrence which has interrupted the Yankees' home season. We now know the sights and the thoughts of what happened on Monday at about 3 o'clock. That huge steel beam, about 500 pounds, crashed through the roof from the upper deck to the mezzanine, leaving this crater in the concrete below and splattering the seats. Well, yesterday, 350 workers were combing through the interior workings of Yankee Stadium. Yesterday's game was canceled as well, and shortly before today's game, I spoke to Yankee owner George Steinbrenner.
It's a strange feeling. We've got to come over here and play them this year, of course, but it's a very strange feeling to come walking in here on such short notice. You haven't had a chance to get prepared for it.
How about the extraordinary planning that's gone into changing the tickets and the police?
The Mets were very helpful. They were very helpful to us, and we appreciate that. And now we've got to get Detroit to help us. And
what does that mean?
That means switching our series. That's a relatively easy. In other words, we were going to play Detroit here this weekend. We should go and just take the games there and flip-flop those 3 games. And we're asking Detroit to help us. And I think Mike Ilitch is a very good friend, and I think he'll do it.
So there's George Steinbrenner confirming the fact that the Yankees are indeed asking the Detroit Tigers to flip-flop what's supposed to be at Yankee Stadium this weekend, at Detroit next weekend. We'll give you the latest once we get confirmation if that comes today. Meanwhile, the Yankees and the Anaheim Angels at Shea Stadium. Some National League memories for Ken Singleton, I think, Jim Cott.
Well, certainly some memories for all of us here at Shea Stadium. The Yankees making history at the start of this season with more runs on opening day than any game in the history of the state. This is not the kind of history they wanted to make, but let's get to the game of baseball. The same pitchers that were scheduled to pitch on Monday night, David Wells and Ken Hill, will hook up again.
Well, they also hooked up out in Anaheim, and David Wells came out on the short end of the stick in that particular series. David Wells was pitching very well, if you will, until the 4th inning. An 0-2 pitch, a mistake pitch to Dave Hollins, put the Angels on the board. That broke the scoreless tie, and the Angels went on to win that ball game 10-2 as they broke it open against the bullpen. On that same night, Ken Hill started for the Angels. He was outstanding. His recent history has him pitching well early in the season. He was very tough against the Yankees.
And you see in that matchup, Ken Hill, 6 innings, no earned runs. He has yet to give up an earned run this year. David Wells is looking for his 2nd win of the season, and the Yankees will have one change in their lineup today. Dale Swaim will get the start at third base. We'll have this historic game for you from Shea Stadium when we come back on MSG after this. Welcome to Shea Stadium. That'll be a busy place today, that fan information booth, and the people here at Shea Stadium are doing an excellent job of directing the fans as to where their seats will be, corresponding with where they would have been in Yankee Stadium. It's been on the message board, and so far from looking at the stands and milling around, people have had no trouble finding where their seat is for today's game. David Wells has no problem finding where his is, right out in the middle of the diamond. In fact, these Yankees, 23 years since they played a game at Shea Stadium when this was their home park for a couple years, and they will be here again in June to play the Mets. So David Wells will pitch for the Yankees, and let's take a look at Terry Collins' lineup for the Anaheim Angels. The young phenom Darren Erstad leads off, then Dave Hollins, Tim Salmon, and Cecil Fielder's the DH. Jim Edmonds, Phil Nevin, Garrett Anderson, Norberto Martin, and Gary DiSarcina round out the Angel lineup. So what a day, our first ever telecast on MSG from Shea Stadium. Of course, these Mets will hook up, the Yankees and Mets will hook up in June in interleague play, so we'll be back here again. There's Darren Erstad, 23-year-old first baseman. He takes ball 1.
Look at Boomer Wells. He'll come right after the Angel hitters. Has a good fastball. He'll use it, try and get ahead on the count. Then start using his breaking ball and his changeup.
Fouled out of play, ball and a strike. A mound is a mound. It's 60 feet 6 inches. They're all supposed to be standard, but they're not. And I'm sure batters' boxes are the same way. So these early innings, for David Wells, he's been out there before, but he's when he was in the National League with the Cincinnati Reds. But that's always the primary concern. You go to a new ballpark, get adjusted to that pitching mound the first inning or two. Typical David Wells. You mentioned he works ahead in the count. One of the best control pitchers in baseball. One of the most durable. There's only 8 guys. Hey, there's the fella that started the first Yankee game in Shea Stadium back in 1974, Mel Stottlemyre. The Yankees called this their home for 2 years. Curveball pulled toward Tino Martinez at first. He wins the race to the bag, and we've got one down here in the Angel first.
Here's a look at Tino Martinez at first base. Let's check out the rest of the Yankees defensively this afternoon at Shea Stadium. Kind of strange to say that. Curtis Williams and O'Neill in the outfield. Swaim, Jeter, Knobloch, Martinez around the infield. Posada doing the catching. Wells on the mound. There's a look at Dale Swaim getting a start at third base. Joe Torre. Now Swaim, this will be his first start of the season. He has had one other appearance defensively, but a chance to play third base for the Yankees this afternoon. He can play anywhere in the infield.
And the first pitch to Dave Hollins, a curveball, though. Dale Swaim actually came up as a shortstop. He was the Brewers' #1 draft pick in 1982, and in that homer-happy season of 1987, he had a big year. He hit 25 home runs that year, his all-time high. Pulled foul outside of third. It's a ball and a strike to Hollins. As you pointed out in the open, Dave Hollins victimized David Wells in the game out in Anaheim for a home run.
Came on a high fastball. Hollins, a very good high fastball hitter from the right-hand side of the plate. You have to pitch him, what do you say, higher than high?
Yep. Go up the ladder with him. Good curveball. Wells' stuff appears to be very, very sharp, and that's been the concern. There's the Yankees principal owner, George Steinbrenner, and #1 Yankee fan, Rudy Giuliani, the mayor at Shea Stadium. How about that change? Broken bat, look out. Bat flies into the stands, but Swaim makes the play, and Tino Martinez on the receiving end makes a nice grab. 2 down here in the Angel first inning. Wow, that was a lethal weapon headed for the stands, and nobody hurt.
Well, the pitch is on the inner half, and it's going to get well in on the hands of Hollins, and you can see that bat just shatter. And the business end of the bat will head for the seats. Fortunately, nobody was injured. As Kitty mentioned, the sharp end of that bat, it's like razor sharp when it comes through there.
That is so dangerous. Everybody checking to make sure. This was earlier today. Joe Torre and Terry Collins meeting with the umpiring crew on the ground rules at Shea Stadium being different than the ground rules at Yankee Stadium, and the umpires pointing there out. There's the umpire lineup brought to you by NAM, the National Arbitration and Mediation, most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. And there is the crew: Jim McKeon, Al Clark, Jim Joyce, Terry Kraft. 1-1 to Tim Salmon. He's off to some start. He's second to Ken Griffey Jr. in home runs in the American League, batting average at .300, and this is from a guy that's usually a slow starter.
Very unusual for him, but the Angels took steps to get him off and going well this year. Spring training, they got him over 100 at-bats in spring training. Usually a regular will get 70, maybe 75 at the most, but Terry Collins, realizing that he needs this guy to get going right away, gave him the 100 at-bats, and he's on a roll.
It's paying off. Wells not happy with that pitch, and it's 3-1. The Anaheim Angels are undefeated against the American League except for Cleveland Indians. Cecil Fielder waits on deck. The Indians, they've hooked up 6 times. The Indians have won 5 out of 6 against the Angels. Their overall record is 6-5 in the American League West. Good fastball. The concern was for the starting pitchers, to get the 2 days off. And it would usually show up in your control and your sharpness, but Wells is right on target here in the first inning. Popped up in the infield. Knobloch back. Now O'Neill has it located on this hazy day, and he'll make the call and the catch. So David Wells retires the Angels in order here in the first inning at Shea Stadium. Yankees coming to bat when we come back.
Yankees baseball is brought to you by the irresistible taste that makes you say, did somebody say McDonald's? By American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. By your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. And by Nobody Beats the Wiz Home Entertainment Center.
That subway stop there at Willetsport, probably a train you took a few times.
Yeah, every once in a while my buddies and I would come out here to Shea Stadium, sit way up in the upper deck and duck airplanes.
Ken Hill, and you see all the zeros. He has yet to give up an earned run. He's 2-0, and he has been some pickup for these Anaheim Angels as he takes the mound today for the third time this season. You see the rest of his pitching line. He is the David Cone of the late 90s. Let's take a look at the Yankee lineup that he'll face. Chuck Knobloch, Derek Jeter, and Paul O'Neill at the top. Then Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, and Darryl Strawberry. Bottom third, Chad Curtis, Jorge Posada, and Dale Swaim gets his first start. He bats ninth.
Defensively for the Angels, a very good outfield to start with. You have Anderson, Edmonds, and Salmon in the outfield. Hollins, DiSarcina, Martin, Erstad, and Nevin doing the catching today. And Ken Hill on the mound. Paco Martin getting a start at second base, coming over from the White Sox as a free agent. Randy Velarde might be back soon for the Angels, though.
First pitch from Hill to Knobloch in for a strike. Randy on his rehab program up to throwing about 50-60 balls a day, not turning any double plays yet, but the Angels be happy to get him in that lineup. Ball and a strike. Mentioned Ken Hill as the David Cone of the late 90s. Toronto acquired David Cone, helped him win the World Series. They did. The Yankees acquired him. They won the World Series with David Cone. Hollins can't get it. Knobloch has a leadoff hit. So Chuck Knobloch's first at bat in Shea Stadium, a successful one. And the leadoff hitter now has reached first base, or reached base in every game this season,
including spring training. So it's what, 34 games in a row now that Knobloch has reached by a hit or a walk or being hit by a pitch. Hollins seemed to dive over that ball as it went into the outfield. Knobloch, concentration, trying to get something started. High fastball, turns on it and smokes it into left field.
Tried to get in his kitchen and he fought it off. That's where they tried to pitch Derek Jeter. Derek would do well to watch how Knobloch probably approaches that. He really keeps his front shoulder in till the last moment. It appears from this shot that Derek Jeter might be just a bit farther away from the plate. Shows bunt, and Hill, who is an excellent fielder, makes the play. It advances Knobloch to scoring position.
You know, with the conditions the way they are today now, it has been raining. Supposedly it's going to clear up. Maybe playing for one isn't such a bad idea. The other day, Derek laid down a bunt with 2 men on. It actually prolonged an inning as he got a base hit and gave a chance for Paul O'Neill and Bernie Williams to come up with some big hits. This time just a sacrifice, and he moves Knobloch into scoring position.
Yeah, that was a win-win play right there, because I think with Hollins not being a particularly good fielding third baseman, if Derek gets the ball down to third, he's going to have a base hit. And at worst, it'll be a sacrifice, which this one was. Paul O'Neill, no stranger to Shea Stadium during his days with the Cincinnati Reds. We'll point out some differences, and it affects left-hand hitters a great deal playing here versus Yankee Stadium. That's outside for a ball. The right-handers will probably welcome it, the right-hand hitters, because it's not as deep out in the power alleys. But our broadcasting colleague Bobby Mercer can attest to the fact that during those 2 years in the mid-70s, those fly balls that would be home runs in Yankee Stadium, where it was 310 feet down the line, are just warning track outs at Shea Stadium. Al Trautwig had a chance to visit with George Steinbrenner just before the game. In case you missed that, George had said, I think my good friend Mike Ilitch, the owner of the Detroit Tigers, might agree to swap the series, and we've got this breaking release out of the American League office that in fact the Tigers have agreed to let the Yankees swap the series. Ground foul at the plate, so we will update you on the schedule. The games this weekend that were going to be at Yankee Stadium will now be switched to Detroit. Friday night's game on WB11, and then Saturday and Sunday are daytime affairs. Saturday's game on MSG. So those will come to you from Tiger Stadium.
We're going to have to change our travel plans. At least I will.
Pitch there. Ken Hill really is much more effective against left-hand hitters for that reason. He's got that good diving fork ball.
He has a good splitter or fork ball. Slider, there's a splitter right there, and also a very good fastball. I think his fastball is somewhat underrated. At times he can get it up there close to 95 miles an hour. I think the big key for Ken Hill this year, he is healthy. Last year he had some shoulder problems and really didn't start pitching well towards the end of the season. That's when the Angels decided to re-sign him, because he showed something towards the very end of the year. When he first got there, he was struggling.
Hit on the hands. O'Neill fights it off. Well, the Cleveland Indians picked him up. They went to the World Series in '95. The Rangers thought he could help them get to postseason play, and he did. And then these Angels, who were in the race last year, you referred to the fact that they picked him up. His shoulder bothered him a bit, but he is sound now. He finished very strong. He's won 5 of his last 6 starts last year and the first 2 this year. Max O'Neill off the plate, and it's 2-2. Getting back to the schedule again, we'll update you with ticket information and everything, but the games that were scheduled to be played at Yankee Stadium this weekend will now be played there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, April 24, 25, and 26. So a weekend later, and that's going to, of course, cause some ticket problems for both teams, but they'll work through it. Back in time. Good timing by DiSarcina and Hill, and Knobloch just got back.
One reason they're watching Knobloch so closely, I think a lot of the scouts are aware, the advanced scouts of the Yankees have been running the bases quite well, leading the major leagues in stolen bases. Knobloch last year stole their third base 12 times. You can see just ahead of the tag from DiSarcina, he's safe. So I think they're trying to slow down the Yankees, even if it's only a 1-game series now.
Up the middle into center field. That should score Knobloch with the game's first run. And O'Neill picks up RBI number 5. The Yankees lead it 1-0.
Knobloch scoring a run. Yankees hope he'll do that well over 100 times this year. And Paul O'Neill driving a run maybe well over 100 times this year. Go back to the sacrifice bunt by Jeter, moving Knobloch into scoring position. A lot of people don't like to give away that bunt in the first inning, but the Yankees have to lead 1-0. And when a team scores first in a ball game, they usually win 3 out of every 4 times. There's a solid single into center field. So getting the jump on the other ball club usually results in a win.
So Paul O'Neill with the first Yankee RBI at Shea Stadium in 23 years. All kinds of history here, isn't there? There's Bernie Williams. There's the good splitter. And again, the scoreless inning streak for Ken Hill comes to a close. That's the first earned run that he has given up this season.
You know, you mentioned the Yankees played here in '75, and I played in the last, well, not really. It was a doubleheader. The final day of the season, Orioles and the Yankees. I played in the first game, but I didn't play in the second.
O'Neill on the run. And O'Neill has a stolen base. An inexperienced catcher in Phil Nevin. Been an infielder, outfielder, and Joe Torre and his bench coach Don Zimmer turning them loose.
Joe gave everybody the green light coming out of spring training. If you feel you got it, go ahead. I think the team has made good decisions on the bases. It's obvious because they've had so much success, and no reason for Joe Torre to shut them down now. They are just stealing their way to victories.
One of the hidden parts of this Yankee lineup we really didn't anticipate coming out of spring training. We talked about the depth of it, ability to draw walks, get on base. That's low, and it's 2-1 to Bernie. They lead the American League right now in base on balls. The lineup does. That guy's a big part of it.
Maybe it's the influence of Knobloch coming to the ball club. He stole 62 bases last year. Maybe Joe Torre as well. And, you know, maybe the other guys can get us some too as well. And maybe he's leading them in that situation.
Grounded toward first, and that'll hook foul. 2-2. I think what happens, Kenny, is from a pitcher's standpoint, once Knobloch is out of the way as a pitcher, you say, well, okay, he's done. Now I don't have to worry too much about it, but check that. The most in the major leagues, and it's spread around quite nicely. Curtis Jeter and Knobloch with 4. Darryl Strawberry has 3. And they have to go back 60 years to find the last time the Yankees led the majors. And the Rickey Henderson era, they were up there among the league leaders when Rickey was here, but he was responsible for most of it. This year they're spreading it around the lineup. O'Neill checking the position of the outfielders, and it's a 2-2 count to Bernie Williams. high. The count is full.
You saw that note the last time the Yankees led the majors, 1938. Frank Crosetti.
The Crow.
Yeah, he led the team in stolen bases with 27.
And of course, whenever the Yankees travel to the Bay Area and play the Oakland Athletics, Crow comes out to see them, as he just gave you a visit on that last trip.
Bernie having to deal with that split finger from Ken Hill, who hasn't had much success against him.
McKeon, the home plate umpire, made a move as if he was going to call that strike 3. Ken Hill thought it might have been, but again, the patient Yankee hitters, and Bernie draws a walk.
Game earlier this year at Yankee Stadium, Bernie drew 3 walks, and prior to that, I really feel that he didn't have a handle on the strike zone. He was chasing a lot of pitches. All hitters want to get off to a great start, and they want to get some hits to get the season rolling. But you have to chase good pitches. You have to go after the good pitches. When Bernie Williams starts to get his walks, that means he has a good idea of the strike zone, and usually means he's hitting well too.
And it enables this guy to hit 3-run homers, which he did so often last year. Tino Martinez. He's got 2 men on base again. Hit well, right center field. A little off the end of the bat, it sounded like, but it got enough of it to reach the wall. Bernie Williams is right on O'Neill's heels, and he'll be held as O'Neill scores run number 2, and the Yankees lead it 2-zip.
Kitty, you were talking about the difference between Shea Stadium and Yankee Stadium. That might have been a difference right there. This ball might have got out of Yankee Stadium. I'm not sure. Pretty long way towards right center. But this was hit maybe a little bit off the end of the bat. It didn't quite have that good sound to it. But it does make it to the gap, and the Yankees are going to pick up another run. Salmon chasing. But that ball's headed further upstream than he is.
Real good job by Edmonds playing that. See, O'Neill has to wait. Is it going to be caught? Is it in the gap? Now he knows he can score easily. And Bernie Williams right on his tail had to be held up at third. And here's Darryl Strawberry, who is the all-time leader in home runs at Shea Stadium. And he got quite a welcome from the fans when he trotted out on the field today. Also American League Player of the Week.
That's what I was about to say. Had a great week last week.
Short center field. Edmonds with a late break now recovers, and he's going to make the grab. Bernie Williams will have to hold his ground. So again, Ken Hill with the left-hand hitters and that ball moving down and away. They're catching it on the end of the bat.
Darryl takes the big swing, but doesn't quite get to it. You can see right on the end of the bat, short fly ball to center field. You mentioned Edmonds taking that false step back. When those big hitters take that big swing, outfielders have a tendency to take a false step backwards, thinking the ball's going to go, but it doesn't. Edmonds, great speed, comes up and makes the catch and holds the runner at third.
Of course, he makes some of the most miraculous catches you'll ever see out there in center field in the American League. Here's Chad Curtis off to that great start. 2 home runs, 9 RBIs on the year. And the breaking ball high. You can tell the difference in the 2 starting pitchers. Ken Hill is not sharp, and I think you know from being on teams where you have a couple of rainouts, half of this game is coming to the ballpark and being ready to play. You got to put out of your mind what happened and say, hey, I got to get ready to play today. David Wells was sharp in the first inning. That's in for a strike. In fact, the Angels have a quote on their lineup every day, and I thought today's was particularly appropriate. Do not permit what you cannot do to interfere with what you can do. The author of that quote was John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood. That's low for a ball, and that's good advice on days like this, because you worry about, well, are they going to play in Yankee Stadium? Are you going to play the game today? It's raining, and you have to put that out of your mind as a ball player. Just say, hey, I got to get ready to play.
I think another thing you have to take into account here is the fact that the Angels have been sitting around hotel rooms for the last couple of days. And they had a chance to work out, don't get me wrong, but they're primed to play ball now, not just work out.
Fouled out of play, 2-2, and
the Yankees have been at home, you know,
right,
with their families. Yeah.
Particularly in New York. We love New York, at least I do, but a lot of the visiting players, it's not one of their favorite stops. They kind of get cooped up in those, they get a little cabin fever, cooped up in those hotels. And
well, it works both ways, too. City never sleeps, folks.
Right, that's right. You don't have to be locked up. Good pitch on the inside corner. Curtis down on strikes, so the Yankees crack through against Hill for a couple of runs, but they do strand 2 in the first inning. And David Wells and the Yankees, after one, own a 2-0 lead on this RBI double by Tino Martinez. New York Yankee baseball is brought to you by American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. You can see a lot of empty seats, but part of that is that at the last minute, this game time was changed to 12:05. You can see them still filing off the subway at Willets Point. Even the umpires, Jim Joyce talked with him today. He said, I didn't know till 9 o'clock this morning that this game was going to be played at noon. So there are still a lot of fans coming in that might think it's a 1:05 start, and I would anticipate we might have about 30,000 by the time it's they're all in. Yankees lead it by a pair.
I was watching the news this morning. That's when I found out it was a 12:05 start.
And again, to update you, as Cecil Fielder steps into a chorus of boos, and he's off to a very slow start with the Angels. The familiar sound of the jets flying overhead. There's George Steinbrenner, principal owner. Tom Rich, longtime player agent on his left, and Mayor Giuliani. First strike to Cecil. If you missed it, we'll continually remind you during this game, for those that do miss it, that the weekend series scheduled to be played at Yankee Stadium with the Tigers has been switched. The Yankees will go to Detroit and play the Tigers in Detroit this weekend. Upstairs, 1-1, and then the Tigers will come to the stadium next week, April 24, 5, and 6. The times of those games will be announced a little bit later.
Notice the Yankees in the visiting dugout here at Shea Stadium. There's a reason for that.
Fastball past Cecil. He can't catch up. 1-2, and the reason is?
Well, Joe Torre said that he had more success as a visiting player here than he had as the manager of the New York Mets. So they're going to stay in the visiting dugout, and the Angels are going to take the Mets side.
In Joe's days as a manager, player manager for the Mets, were not particularly successful in the late 70s, but got him. Can't catch up with the heater, and David Wells has his first strikeout of the game as Fielder goes down on strikes.
Good fastball. He stayed with the heat against Cecil Fielder. Cecil's now 3 for his last 31. So after initial series against the Yankees in which he got some hits, things have gone the other way for Cecil. And there it is, the high heat, high and out over the plate. Can't catch up to it, and he's gone.
Yeah, that hitch in his swing, and with all the advanced scouting and just from the dugouts, you can see that. With the big hitch in Cecil's swing, he's going to have to prove to American League pitchers that he can turn on the fastball. Good curve from Wells in for a strike to Edmonds.
Originally on Monday night, Edmonds was not in the lineup against David Wells, and he hasn't had a hit against a left-handed pitcher this year. Now, he did improve last year against lefties, hitting .273.
That's toward the line. That might be his first one. Curtis is going to have to retreat and play it on a bounce, and Edmonds has a one-out single.
So now he has a batting average against left-handed pitchers. And it's hard to take his glove out of the lineup. I mean, he's a Gold Glove center fielder. In fact, both center fielders today have won Gold Gloves. Off the end of the bat, down the line, drops in front of Chad Curtis. And Jim Edmonds is aboard with a base hit.
If you're Terry Collins, you got to stack all the left-hand hitters you can in the lineup against David Wells. Times have changed in baseball where you used to take left-hand hitters out against lefties. But David Wells has a lot of problems against left-hand pitching. You saw manager Terry Collins there in your picture. That curveball in for a strike. Wells does not have a sharp, biting slider. It's Phil Nevin's numbers on the year. He's catching. #1 draft pick of the Astros several years ago, was an infielder, then tried the outfield, and now he's made the adjustment to catcher. Right back up the middle. Knobloch to Jeter. To Tino Martinez in an inning-ending double play. Another good inning for David Wells and the Yankees. On their first game at Shea Stadium in 23 years, the Yankees are off to a good start. They lead at 2-0. We head to the home half of the second. 2-0 Yankees. David Wells getting the mud removed from his cleats on this rainy, misty day. This is how the inning ended.
Well, double play ball. I think that David Wells could have had a shot at this ball, but he decides to let it go because he knows where his infielders are. They're playing towards the bag, cheating for the double play, and he gets it turned by Knobloch and Jeter. So I think an experienced pitcher, if he deflects it, might have been an infield hit if he didn't come up with it cleanly.
Now to lead off the Yankees second, Jorge Posada, who is getting more and more playing time. Pair of home runs. And first pitch in for a strike. You're going to see a lot of that. Yankee hitters looking up. Yeah, we're not used to those jets flying overhead. Late on the fastball, 0-2. That one got in on the thumbs. You could see Jorge shaking, and he does not wear any batting gloves.
He might start. A few more like that.
Might get a little sponge pad on that hand after that one.
There's a few hitters around baseball. Moises Alou doesn't wear usually what he does is tapes his fingers, tapes the joints of his fingers.
Another one. They got right back in that kitchen again. Edmonds is there to make the grab. One down. That'll get Jorge shaking those hands a little bit more. He got deep into the kitchen with that. Yeah.
Panoramic view of Shea Stadium and the outfield fence.
Yeah, they're a little different as a hitter. You know, if you're a left-hand hitter and you pull that ball down the line and you get into your home run trot at Yankee Stadium, not so here. It's just going to be an out to the track. It's 338 feet down each line, where at the stadium it's 312 and 310 respectively. Here's Dale Swain. Some of you Yankee fans getting your first look at him. 34-year-old veteran. That's what he did last year with the Pirates. Came up with the Milwaukee Brewers. Played a little bit with the Phillies, the White Sox. And Swaim, S-V-U-E-M, it's 1-1 now, is Norwegian. Pronounced Swaim. His dad was one of 17 that grew up in the upper Midwest. Scott Brocious gets the day off today.
Last year, he was a veteran influence on that young Pittsburgh Pirate club that made a good run in the National League Central, kind of revived baseball in Pittsburgh.
Low, and it's 3-1. He might stick around and watch the Mets game tonight. He's got a cousin playing there, John Olerud. Mets will file in here, I'm sure, about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. This isn't one Ernie Banks had in mind when he said, let's play two. It's the first time this century that there are two games played, two different leagues. The New York Giants actually played two games against different teams back in 1951, the famous Bobby Thompson year. They had to play the Cardinals on Monday afternoon, and then Swaim stays alive, is fouled out of play, and then the Cardinals played the Braves later that night. So that was three teams that played two games. But this is the first time this century that this has happened, where you have four different teams, and expensive teams, I might add. You added up the payrolls. You got the Cubs and the Mets, the Angels and the Yankees popped up in the infield. D. Sarcina makes the call right behind the bag, and the shortstop puts it away, 2 down. A lot of valuable ball players here today.
Yeah, added it up. This was the salary totals from USA Today. Now, I don't know how accurate they are, but this supposedly is it. Between those four ball clubs, you got over $200 million worth of ball players in Shea Stadium today.
With the Yankees leading the way at 63. That's the home dugout for the New York Mets. The Angels are there. They dressed right next to the Mets clubhouse. Pitches in for a strike to Knobloch. The Yankees treated it like a spring training game. They just got their duffel bags, put their uniforms in there, bust over to Shea, changed into their uniforms in the clubhouse where the Cubs occupy, and then after the game they'll just they'll go back to the stadium and shower up, clean up there. Joe Torre had a lot of success, you mentioned, as a visiting player coming in with the Cardinals. Good swing by Knobloch, and it's 1-2. And he had some success when he managed the Atlanta Braves coming in here.
Back in 1964, when Shea Stadium was built, the Mets vacated the Polo Grounds, came over here to play. They had the All-Star game at Shea that year. Of course, the Cardinals were really rolling in those days. The Mets really hadn't come into existence as far as a good ball club was concerned.
And it's 2-2. Yeah, it was the year of the World's Fair. I can remember that was a new experience. We came in to play the Yankees, and they said we're going to get a little tour of the World's Fair and see Shea Stadium for the first time. Knobloch again fights off a good pitch.
Mentioning they came into their existence in 1969, winning the World Championship over the Orioles, 73 National League champs, 86 beating the Red Sox. Casey Stengel was their first manager, the old professor.
And you got Gil Hodges and Tom Seaver's number up there. Chuck Knobloch did not agree with the call, but he's called out on strikes. Ken Hill has a 1-2-3 second after 2 at Shea. Yankees lead it by a pair. Lots of stuff going on at Shea Stadium today with this unusual situation. Those are the uniforms of the Chicago Cubs. They'll be here a little later. That's Mark Grace, their outstanding first baseman. And Chili Davis pinned a little note on Mark Grace's locker. There's some more highlights of today's game. The players dressed at home. They're using the third base dugout and the visiting clubhouse. They have an advance sale of $32,000 for today's game, and they are filing in. Many thought it was going to be a 1 o'clock start. It was moved up. And now here's the note that Chili Davis penned to Mark Grace in his locker. So when Mark gets here, if you're watching this game this afternoon, Mark, we'll give it to you right now. Gracie, you're my favorite player. I loved you in high school. Chili Davis. Chili said, I used to watch him play when I was a kid. Here's Garrett Anderson. That's in for a strike. And Chili, incidentally, just to update him, Chili's broke into the big leagues, of course, back in the early 1980s, but it appears more and more likely, no official word, that he may have to have surgery on that injured ankle. 0-2. Good fastball from Wells as Anderson gave a little ground. Garrett, a .357 hitter against David Wells in his career. Got him. Boy, that's 3 good pitches there. Anderson down on strikes, and Wells has faced the minimum 7 here through the first 2 1/3.
One of the reasons Anderson is in there against the left-hander, he's a pretty good hitter against all types of pitching, but this is a great curveball down and away out of the strike zone. No chance for the left-handed hitter, Garrett Anderson.
There's an original Met on the left, Don Zimmer. He was an original Met. Believe it or not, this is Jack McDowell's first trip to Shea Stadium. He's never been here before. But there's a little story with Zim and Shea Stadium. Mentioned he was an original Met, but only for a short period of time. He said it actually worked out quite well because he got traded to Cincinnati, and his father was not in good health at the time, so he got to go back home with him. Paco Martin taped strike 1, but he was sitting in the office down the visiting clubhouse in 1991 as a manager of the Chicago Cubs when Jim Fry and the president of the Cubs, Don Granesco, walked in and said, "You're fired." And Jim Essien took over. 1 hopper to Jeter. Tino Martinez in time, 2 down. So, like Zim says, just about the time in this game you think you've seen it all, you haven't seen it all. And in another week and a half, he said something different will come up again.
Jim Essien got the job?
Escobar.
Escobar, yeah.
Took over and managed the Cubs when Zim left. And can't see it under that jacket. Of course, Zim wearing number 50 this year. It's his 50th year in organized baseball. Gary DiSarcina, Angels shortstop, steps in. In for a strike. Wells is sharp.
Getting ahead of the hitters and stretching the zone with the breaking ball. DiSarcina missed a couple of games. Here's David Cohn. David Cohn, of course, Mets all those years. Came up in the Mets organization.
Fouled straight back, and it's quickly 0-2.
Mentioning DiSarcina, missed a few games with a bone bruise. He dove into a camera well out in Anaheim and missed a couple of games. When this guy's in the lineup, they're better than 500 ball club. When he's been out of the lineup the last few years, they are well under 500. Shows you the stability he brings to the infield.
Another no batting gloves guy.
Some days I wish I had mittens on, let alone batting gloves.
Good waste pitch outside. Our sister station, Fox Sports New York, of course, will bring you the Mets-Cubs game later tonight. Keith Hernandez will be one of the broadcasters. He was a no batting gloves guy.
It's going to be Steve Troxel for the Cubs and Rick Reed going for the Mets tonight. Good matchup.
In the right field, but Paul O'Neill is waiting there. Wells has surrendered a single to Edmonds. The Yankees doubled him up, so he has faced a minimum 9 through the first 3, and the Yankees lead at 2-0. Back at Shea Stadium on MSG after this. Well, a hazy day here in Flushing, and bridge you're kind of familiar with there.
You can barely make out the standards there. This is the Whitestone Bridge. And, of course, I played for the Mets, came up with the New York Mets, lived in Westchester County, so I crossed that bridge coming to the ballpark every day. And I hate to admit it, but it only cost a quarter in those days for the toll. Nowadays, 28 years later, $3.50 to cross that bridge when you come to it.
Jeter takes ball 1. Well, it's got to be a neat experience for you coming back here. Under the circumstances, you make the best of it. But you saw a lot of games here as a kid, and of course broke into this ball club.
Yep, I was sat up there in the cheap seats in the upper deck and ducked airplanes. My buddies and I would take the train out here to Shea Stadium and watch the Mets.
Outside for a ball.
Saw Willie Mays back in 1965 hit his 17th home run of the month for a National League record.
In on the hands, which is a pitch Derek's had a lot of problems with. That's fouled out of play, and it's 2-1. Fighting that ball off. Joe Torre explained it from a hitting standpoint. He's so conscious of the ball inside, Derek is, that he's looking for it and he's pulling away. He pulls away too quickly, and it might sound like not the right strategy, but the way to hit that inside pitch is to really stay closed as long as you can. That, again, is a good pattern. Now Hill goes to the outside corner, and it's quickly 2-2.
Jeter is caught in between at this point. He's looking in, pulling away. He can't get back out to the outside pitch, so he can't hit either one of them. And you're right. You got to dive that front shoulder towards the pitcher and trust your hands and your arms to get the bat through the zone on the inside pitch.
Had to reach for that one. Tapped out to De Sarcina. The shortstop's toss to Erstad in time. And boy, Derek hustling all the way. Just retired by a stride.
De Sarcina having the hustle to get Jeter. Here's the head of Jeter. See how much it moves. You see that front shoulder kind of turning, and he has to reach for the final pitch to hit it because he's already spent trying. He's thinking inside. You see how much he has to reach? His head move out of the circle. When a hitter is swinging well, that head will remain in that circle no matter where the pitch is. He really had to dive and go after that pitch.
Pretty good chance this time this guy's head will stay in that circle. It does most of the time. That's down in the corner. Played by Salmon, and O'Neill will have a standing double with one down here in the Yankee third. 2 for 2 for Paul. Coming off a 4-hit game on Sunday afternoon.
You know what's interesting about this 2-base hit? It might have only been a single at Yankee Stadium when you think about it. Drives it towards the corner. Reaches out there. Boy,
sure.
Can he hit that outside pitch? Drove it towards the corner. Might have gotten to that wall a lot more quickly. Salmon has one of the best arms in the league. And O'Neill here at Shea Stadium picks up a 2-base hit.
That's why statistics in baseball and all-time records, you know, they're. And one of the beauties of the game is you don't play in these standard stadiums where the dimensions are the same everywhere, but the little quirks and corners and the different dimensions create things like that. You mentioned it could very well have been a single at Yankee Stadium. Instead, it's a double.
And you know what? They're going back to that with the new ballparks, little quirks and angles.
Popped up. Short center Edmonds is there. And Bernie Williams retired. That's the second out of the inning. It's time to check out our New York Marriott Marquis pitching matchup. Starters today, Ken Hill. Spent most of his time in the National League, so his record just 3-4 against the Yankees. And David Wells has always done quite well against the Angels record-wise, a rather lofty earned run average against them. Wells is retired. The Angels in order in the first 3 innings, with the exception of Edmonds, who got a base hit but was retired on a double play. Tino Martinez takes strike 1. And the breaking ball low, 1-1. My first look at this stadium was as an American leaguer, because coming in with the Chicago White Sox, it was when the Yankees played here in 1974 and 75. They've given it a couple of nice bright coats of paint. Ripped right field. Salmon will not get to it. Martinez is going to have another double. So between O'Neill and Tino Martinez, they have solved Ken Hill today. And it's now 3-0 Yankees.
I used to say about Lou Gehrig that he hit line drives past outfielders like most guys hit them past infielders. And on this particular line drive, you can see that Tim Salmon is already in retrieving mode, and the ball gets by him as it might an infielder on a line drive single. This is how hard this ball is hit. You can see the ball is completely covered by the bat. The ball is right here somewhere, right out here somewhere. You can hardly see it against the white bat of Tino Martinez, but it is smoked towards right center field.
Really good example of a guy that's hitting well, Tino, and a guy that's struggling, Derek Jeter, just in those 2 shots. How Derek is kind of diving and a lot of head movement. Tino is locked in. Here's Darryl Strawberry. Inside corner, strike 1. I would say if Tino could take that swing, get Charlie Wansowitz, the video coordinator, and just look at that swing. That was as solid and fundamentally sound a swing as you can make. No head movement, right on the ball, and just drilled, as you said, like Lou Gehrig, drilled a line drive past Tim Salmon. Inside corner again, says Jim McKeon. Darryl didn't think so. It's 0-2. Sky's beginning to brighten a little bit now. And more fans filing in, so it could well be a terrific afternoon for baseball and a good night for the Mets and the Cubs tonight. That one's a little too far inside. It's 1-2.
Trying to keep the ball in on the hands of Strawberry so he can't get that great extension on his swing. After all these fastballs, will you go with the splitter right now?
I would think so.
There it is.
Hill off the mound. He's a good fielder. No! His foot slipped. Couldn't get his footing, and Darryl Strawberry has an infield hit.
You mentioned Ken Hill, a good fielder. Third baseman Hollins pulled over towards the hole, so Ken Hill is the only one who had a chance at this particular ball off the end of the bat. Barehands it. Hill used to be a catcher, but this time he decided not to unload. He's going to hold on, and Darryl's going to pick up an infield single. Here's a splitter off the end of the bat, and Darryl headed down that line. In the old days, it would have been easy for Darryl to beat it out. Of course, with the knee problems, you can see a little bit more baseball on this one than you did on the swing of Tino Martinez. His bat just covered the ball, but it's still a base hit.
There's Chad Curtis. That's in for a strike. Where Darryl got a little break on that ball. If you noted in one of our replays, it took a little side hop. I think Ken Hill thought he was going to field that ball, and then it hopped toward the line, and he couldn't get his footwork. Strawberry back in time. He has 3 stolen bases. Mentioned the Yankees lead the major leagues in stolen bases. And Hill, a rather easy pitcher to steal against. That's outside. The league is perfect against him this year. In fact, in the last, the Yankees have stolen 2 bases today. Their last 14 attempts against Ken Hill have been successful. Strawberry on the move, and it's fouled at the plate. 1-2 to Curtis.
Darrell has stolen 3 out of 4 this year. Back to Strawberry. Darrell lengthening his lead a bit, and maybe would see the great base stealers. They don't give any indication when they're going to go. Now, you watch Strawberry closely, he might, drop his hands a little or flex a little bit more, and that's a giveaway. Vince Coleman, the great base stealer from the Cardinals during the 70s and 80s, used to touch the top of his helmet, blew that helmet off.
Hit well to center field. Edmonds on the run, has it measured, and he'll put it away. Al Trautwig will be along with Kenny in the 4th inning. We've played 3 at Shea Stadium, and the Yankees in control of this one so far. They lead it 3-0. Back on MSG after this.
We're back at Shea Stadium. The skies are brightening, and the Yankees lead the Anaheim Angels 3-0. Al Trautwig now with Jim Cott, and Jim, like you, plenty of Shea Stadium with Ken Singleton. Excuse me.
That's all right. It's a compliment, though.
I have memories of coming here with a kid, and I used to always look up at this box and see Lindsey Nelson with those jackets and Ralph Kiner, and think to myself, how do you get up there? I never even knew how to get up here, and now here we are.
Of course, years with Montreal, I was always in the visitors booth just down the way here. But as I mentioned, as a youngster sitting up in the stands here at the very top and just enjoying the New York Mets in those days. They weren't very good, but they were always entertaining.
Yankee fans have shown out in number today. The lights are on, but it looks like the sun, as the weather forecasters predicted, could break through here in Flushing this afternoon. It is a sweet day for Yankee fans who have made their way to Queens. And all those Yankee fans who live on eastern Long Island or in eastern Nassau County are enjoying this one. It's a little bit of an easier commute to follow their favorite team. It's going to be the top of the order for the Anaheim Angels. Darren Erstad followed by Dave Hollins and Tim Salmon against David Wells, who's thrown 31 pitches, 24 for strikes.
Changes his pattern a little bit, starting Erstad off with a curveball. He's off to a great start. 11-game hitting streak. He's had a hit in every game this year.
Outstanding athlete in every sport, hitting .314 with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. That's off the plate, high and inside. The Angels come in with a record of 6-5, and while the Yankees have had their weird moments on this trip, the Angels were of the mindset on Monday that they were flying out on Tuesday, and that didn't last for very long. And it's a strange thing when you get yourself set in your mind that you're doing one thing and then your schedule changes so dramatically the next. That's a strike. 2 balls and 1.
Chance to talk to Terry Collins the other day prior to the postponement of the first game of the series. He was talking about Erstad, saying that eventually he feels that this young man is going to bat 3rd in the order for the Angels. He has some good power and excellent speed, and he feels that eventually he might also go back to the outfield. He's an outfielder by trade.
That ball is smoked. Bernie's on the run and pulling it down. That had to be a knuckler for as hard as he hit that ball. And Bernie made it look easy. Got a great jump.
Let's listen to that last piece of contact by Erstad, and it did have a good sound to it when it left the bat.
Can I just do that once in my life? Do all that hard?
Or make a catch like this?
Okay, either one would be fine.
Nice play by Bernie in center field. As I mentioned, 2 gold-gloved center fielders in the ballgame today, as Bernie robs Erstad of a hit.
He's the hardest working guy on the team, Dave Hollins, who bunts for a strike.
For a guy who has pretty good power, Hollins not afraid to try and drop down a bunt, either right-handed or left-handed. 14 bunt base hits last year. So the third baseman and the first baseman always have to be alive when he's at the plate trying to get something started. There's Swaim at third, a little bit deeper than even with the bag.
It is becoming almost comical to me, Ken, as you mentioned Dale Swaim. Yankee fans, because they haven't seen them both very much, are confusing Darren Holmes and Dale Swaim. I have heard many fans say, hey Darren, and they're talking to Dale, and they say, hey Dale, when they're talking to Darren. So it's something they've got to work out.
Both have those mustaches.
Yeah, they look similar. Another bunt for a foul ball, and it's 1-2. 1 out here in the top of the 4th inning. The Yankees are riding Paul O'Neill and Tino Martinez today. O'Neill's got a single and a double, and Tino Martinez has 2 doubles. And they're the ones who are doing the damage against Ken Hill. Another hard hit ball into the orange low seats. Of course, Ken, in the early days of Shea, when this place first opened, the color configuration of the seats wasn't like this. The lower level was yellow.
I'm trying to.
And the mezz was blue.
Trying to remember now. Yeah.
The press area was tan, and the upper deck was light green.
How do you remember that?
Because I sat at all of them.
Okay. And the upper, what was the upper deck?
Light green.
That's the one I remember because that's where I was.
And I remember, as we look at where Tommy Agee put a baseball back in 1969, that fans used to, when the games were over, always go to the upper deck and switch the seats either up or down, and they could write messages like "Let's go Mets" with the seats up there in the upper deck. That's in there for a call, strike 3. Well, Dave Hollins put himself in a hole with those bunts for strikes, and Wells knocks him out. You know, so many people have had to change their lives to make this day-night American National League doubleheader take place. And, of course, the most confused people are the people who have tickets, which means the ticket takers have to be on the ball.
The only confusion they have is where they're going to sit. And most of the time we tell them, see an usher, because the usher, they don't have ushers in Yankee Stadium, but they have them here. So we tell them, go to the ushers, and they can help you out a hell of a lot better than we can. Because here we can point you to the right direction, but we can't give you the seats.
Long day for you?
Very long. After this, we got to go and line up for tonight's game.
It's called double dipping. Michael Kay on the case before today's game here at Shea Stadium. I'll tell you, the people who work here, Ken, have the most fabulous attitude. It's like they've all embraced it as just a fun day. They love baseball, these ushers, and look at it. These guys have worked here for decades, all of them. And it's just a lot of the sport that they've loved. Upwards of 30,000 here this afternoon at Shea. 2 outs, and this is Tim Salmon. Fouled straight back. Salmon has been driven crazy by the fact that he's been one of baseball's most productive hitters in recent years, but he hasn't been in the All-Star game. As you look at the home run leaders, he's right there with Ken Griffey Jr. Salmon actually has tried to remake his image. You probably have seen him in the ESPN promo where he's in the internet office trying to get his salary upped. Well, it's all part of a campaign to get people to know about Tim Salmon, and he's a hardworking, God-loving family guy, and he has almost reluctantly gone along with this PR campaign to get him the recognition he needs to get to the All-Star game. It's something he really wants.
You would think 4 30 home run seasons would be enough.
High fly into the misty sky. Jeter got it. A very efficient inning for David Wells. 1, 2, 3. He gets the Angels. And we'll be back to Shea Stadium on MSG in a moment. Yankees baseball from Flushing, brought to you in part by Hoover. Nobody gets the dirt like Hoover. Nobody. The old New York State Pavilion on the right, the Unisphere, Arthur Ashe Stadium across the way here in Flushing. Those buildings in the background, and this building, remnants of the World's Fair in 1964.
Did you go to World's Fair?
Yes, I did.
I did too.
You know what I remember most? I remember the White Owl Cigar Pavilion that used to puff the big white smoke rings into the sky. I was fascinated by it. Big, huge smoke rings went up. That's all it did.
Well, I don't remember that one in particular, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay. 3-0 Yankees over the Anaheim Angels. This is Jorge Posada. By the way, Ken, if you were interested in the World's Fair,
yeah,
the Queens Museum, which is right next to here at Shea, next to the zoo that's still here, has a whole area dedicated to the World's Fair with memorabilia, the jackets that people wore, and pins and so forth. Plus, they've got this huge diorama of New York City where you can see the whole city in a room that's about, I don't know, about 100 by 100. And it gets dark, and the sun comes up, and little planes land at LaGuardia Airport.
You're amazing.
You got to go. It's
You're
cool.
amazing.
That's the fake skyline atop the scoreboard, but I mean, we're talking 3-dimensional, all the buildings and
You
stuff.
are amazing, Al. Between the Knicks and the Rangers and the Yankees.
I stopped there this morning, as a matter of fact.
Well, there's the real airplanes over at LaGuardia.
And we haven't had a consistent drone of planes taking off. It's just every once in a while. That one's in the dirt. By the way, that shot of the skyline at the top of the scoreboard, when Shea Stadium first opened up, there was a huge box up there, and it had the Met logo in it. And then there was this door that opened up, and inside they would put slide pictures up of the Met players, and the technology didn't last very long. I think it was only a year. Red Foley told me. That was a long time ago. And here's a hard hit ball to center field. Salmon going back, and it's off the wall. Posada hit that ball hard. I think Salmon thought it was over the wall the way he played it. He just sort of froze to watch it.
It's very rare that a ball will clear the center field wall here at Shea Stadium. It's only 410 feet, or, well, it is 410 feet. This ball is hit well, but for some reason, the ball doesn't carry to straightaway center. I think in all my years coming here, I've only seen one player, or maybe two, hit the ball over the wall in center. And it was Darryl Strawberry who did it once, and Greg Luzinski did it on a game that I was watching on TV. As you can see, man, well covered with the bat, the upswing. This ball is headed for faraway places.
I said Tim Salmon, he's in right field. Obviously, that was Jim Edmonds, the outstanding center fielder for the Angels, who couldn't play that. Now Dale Swaim looks at ball one.
The Yankees have 7 hits in this game, and most of them have been hit hard.
Really hard. Swaim finally gets a start for the Yankees at third base today. He can play all over the infield. Did last year with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
When you think about the two pitchers who were started this game, as we look at the Yankees Toyota box score, Knobloch with a hit, O'Neill 2 for 2, Tino 2 for 2. You know, the 2 extra days rest can throw guys off, and it looks like David Wells, the 2 days rest has really helped him, as opposed to Ken Hill, who has struggled within the strike zone.
Had a nice crack to it out in Jim Edmonds' territory. Tagging at second is Posada. It's going to be fairly close, but Posada's in there. Edmonds has a good arm and a great glove, and he made that interesting at third base.
When that ball was hit originally, I thought it would be no problem for Posada to move over to third base. You're going to get a look at one of the stronger arms in center field, and he uncorks his throw one hop. Now, the difference of Posada being out is the hop itself. It takes a high hop. See it stay up in the air. If it's a low hop, where Hollins can get to it and get the glove down more quickly, we might have had an even closer play at third base. As it is, it's still fairly close for a ball hit that far to center field.
So another runner in scoring position. Edmonds failing to get Posada. He's 90 feet from home with the Yankees up 3-0 and 1 out. That's all the way to the backstop, and Posada comes in easily. Boy, how strange it is to see a guy who comes in with an unblemished record sail one to the backstop with a runner at third. And Phil Nevin, in his first year of catching for the Angels, couldn't get it.
Marcel Latchman on the phone. I think the Angels bullpen might get up here, but you can see nothing. No chance for Nevin. Knobloch ducking. Nevin reaching. The Yankees have another run.
There's Posada side by side with Joe Girardi. Conversation between the two is ongoing and ever present.
Here's a look at Posada at third, realizing the ball is a wild pitch and he can trot home.
Well, Girardi's geared up to warm up David Wells, and Jorge Posada starts to gearing up, maybe so that Joe won't have to. 4-0 Yankees here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Chuck Knobloch has singled, struck out, and scored a run. He was brought in by Paul O'Neill's hit back in the first inning. That's poked through where nobody was. And the Yankees have another base runner with 1 out.
8th hit of the game, stung off of Kenny Hill. You know, Knobloch, 2 hits. He pulled one through the hole in the first inning. Shows you his ability to use the whole field. He sends one through the hole in the right field. And here's a guy that the Yankees got to get going. One thing, talking to Don Zimmer about Derek Jeter, he says strikeouts don't seem to bother Jeter. You know, it's just another out to him, and he very rarely takes what happens to the plate out into the field with it. And for positions that's as important as shortstop, as Omar Olivares warms up, it's very important to leave your at-bats in the dugout. Don't take them out on the field defensively.
One thing that has impressed everyone about Derek Jeter is the cool, almost over-mature manner in which he has lived his life on and off the field. So that reflects again what you're talking about, Ken. Knobloch way off the bag at first on the pitch, but he is back. 1-0 to Derek Jeter, hitting only a $196.
Sometimes the cheapest little hit will get you going, though. It doesn't have to be a big 3 for 4 day. Just that one hit, you're 0 for 3. You come up that fourth time, you really don't feel good at the plate, and you get a hit, and it really boosts your confidence.
Why is that?
Well, the reason being is because you know you're struggling. You come up, you're 0 for 3. You got a chance to finish the day on a good note, and you come through with a cheap hit. You know, it wasn't the best hit you could get, but it shows you that maybe brighter things are ahead. One way to watch hitters and see if they're coming out of slumps, though, is to see how they make their outs. You know, if you're starting to hit the ball hard and they're still catching it, that means you're hitting the ball solidly, you're seeing it better. We haven't seen that yet from Jeter, though.
Is it possible that you get a cheap hit like that and it ever so slightly removes the pressure to get a hit the next time up because you just got one, and that extra feeling of looseness, you know, allows you to connect?
That's why in the last game of the Yankees played against Oakland, when Jeter laid down that bunt with 2 men on, got a bunt base hit, a lot of people thought maybe swing away. He had struck out his previous 2 times up. He set it up for O'Neill. Paul O'Neill came up and got a base hit, drove in a couple of runs.
Meanwhile, Michael Kay was the MC at Derek's appearance at Macy's in Herald Square on Monday. Perhaps you saw it on the news. Knobloch's off and going, and Jeter fouls it back. And Michael Kay said the appearance of Jeter brought in 1,000 people. Has never seen anything like it. And there's Mr. Cunningham on the right. He's in charge of the Yankee Stadium field, and he's been bonding with the crew here at Shea, Pete Flynn and company. No shortage of commitment to making this day work at Shea Stadium.
Imagine if this had happened in a city that only had one team, one stadium.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Ground ball gets through and past Norberto Martin. Knobloch makes the turn. He's on his way to third. The throw is cut off. Oh no, it went through. And Knobloch is out at third base. A great fake by Gary DiSarcina. I bought it hook, line, and sinker, but the throw went through, and Knobloch was out.
Well, he mentioned the offensive capabilities of the Angels outfield. They are very strong defensively as well. Knobloch's going to have to hustle. Here's the throw to third. An excellent throw by Tim Salmon, and you can see that Knobloch is just out of there. So Salmon picks up another assist. Knobloch rounding second. Looked like he was going to make it until this ball caught him. What a throw by the right fielder for the Angels. We already saw Edmonds make a good throw, and Anderson also among the league leaders in left field in assists. All 3 of those guys are signed to long-term deals too.
Now it's Paul O'Neill. Paul has singled and doubled. Stolen a base. Yankees off and running this season. It's getting a little bit brighter now. We're going to see the sunshine any moment. Yankees up 4-0, batting here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Lights still on here at Shea.
Well, it's a pretty good crowd for fans who were expecting to attend the ball game at Yankee Stadium today. Having to come out to Flushing, see their heroes at Shea Stadium.
What's so great is that school is out this week for most kids, and there are just thousands of kids here today as Bernie Williams waits on deck. Jeter's on at first. Was that the little single through the right side that gets him going? Maybe we'll have some idea by the time this day is over. We'll check out where you can find the Yankees on the tube this week on MSG and on the WB11 Friday at Detroit. Now, if you have tickets for this weekend at the stadium, hold on to them. They'll be good next week. But this weekend, the Yankees are going to go to Tiger Stadium and give that crew a chance to make Yankee Stadium as safe as possible. So it's the WB11, then MSG on Saturday at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, where the vendors are going to cash in if they can somehow last through what is a long day. Those guys work so hard up and down the ramps and all over the ballpark.
very rarely watching the ball game.
My great memory of the vendors here, Ken, was during the days when Joe Willie Namath and the Jets played here, and the guys would walk around with the hot chocolate tanks on their back. You know, they had these huge tanks like scuba tanks on their back.
And the 1969 defeat of the Baltimore Colts, supposedly invincible.
Another foul ball. I am embarrassed to say that I took part of the turf from Shea Stadium home with me that day. And when my parents sold the house after I planted it in the backyard, I had to go dig it up and take it with me.
Did you know exactly where it was?
Oh, yeah, I knew where it was.
Did you replant it?
I still have that piece of turf.
All right. The statute of limitations is up, by the way. You're okay.
I mean, that was a wild day. Oh, boy. I got the tickets in the mail lottery that you had to send in. Somehow won it. My father drove me to the Flushing post office so I could make sure and get it in there as quickly as possible.
Wow.
Didn't go to a lot of school that month. Jeter's up and running, and it's become a foul ball kind of half inning.
Ken Hill still has pretty good stuff on his fastball. I had a feeling Jeter was off and running. He looked like a little more flexed over there at first. He gets a pretty good jump, a couple of steps. You know, he and Knobloch don't need that much. And they each have 4 stolen bases on the year to lead the Yankee ball club, along with Chad Curtis, who has 4. The running Yankees.
Ken Hill hasn't allowed much to left-handed hitters in terms of power in his last 9 starts. 2-2 to Paul O'Neill with 2 away. Jeter's going. Throw is high. Jeter's in there with no problem. Another stolen base for the Yankees in the ball game. And he got going quickly.
Well, Ken Hill didn't throw over. Pretty good jump by Jeter. See him looking back to see what happens with the pitch. Throw is a little bit high, and he's in there with the stolen base easily. Number 5 on the year for Jeter. Up and into O'Neill. And the throw into second, not nearly in time. I have a feeling Jeter's on his way to a career high in stolen bases this year.
The Yankees could be following him. Another foul ball by Paul O'Neill. This start not indicative of Ken Hill's season nor his spring training. He was outstanding in the spring. He's been outstanding so far in the first year of a 4-year, $22 million contract. And his partnership, along with all the other Angels pitchers, with Marcel Latchman, who's viewed as a real pitching guru, has been outstanding.
Omar Olivares still warming up. Jeter flexing that leg. Hopefully there's no pull there.
O'Neill comes through again. And it bounces past the left fielder all the way to the wall. Garrett Anderson got handcuffed. O'Neill galloping to third. And he is in there with another run driven in. That was a long chug around the bags for Paul O'Neill. 5-0 Yankees.
Yankees now with 10 hits in the ball game. Now this would have been an RBI single. I think Jeter would have scored anyway, but it's wet out here. It's been raining earlier today and last night. And with Jeter moving into scoring position on the stolen base, O'Neill feels, well, I got a base hit. Now he has to turn it off. Sees Anderson prone out in left field. Hit second. Yeah, I'll try for third. Why not? He's in there ahead of the throw. It's going to go as a triple. No errors up on the board.
Garrett Anderson is not viewed as a subpar outfielder, would you say, Kenny? I mean, I've seen him make some outstanding plays out there.
Just lost his footing. He has one of the stronger arms. It might have been a play at the plate. I said I thought Jeter would have scored easily, but maybe not with Anderson, who was second in the league in assists last year. Here's another look at it. Watch the feet go out from underneath him. Look like there's a flag on the play. The ball goes all the way to the wall.
A lot of misting rain overnight and this morning. Field's probably a little slippery. And as it gets brighter, Bernie Williams has his shades on.
That's the 130 to Schenectady.
I think it's the Chicago flight. O'Neill at third, coming through with a 2-out base hit. Clutch, clutch, clutch. Bernie Williams hitting .325. Haven't seen his power yet. No home runs and 5 RBIs. David Wells has a nice cushion to play with as he keeps his pitching hand wrapped up. It's another hard hit ball, but right at first base is Darren Erstad. He makes the play, and the Yankees are done, but not before they score twice. Paul O'Neill has been a big part of their day. Tino Martinez, too. Back with more on MSG in a moment. New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by MCI. Is this a great time or what? Birds, plants, and other stuff alongside the Grand Central Parkway over there. We're in Queens. Al Troutwig along with Jim Cott. Yankees up 5-0 in this big day for baseball in Queens. 10 hits better than 1, and David Wells, Jim Cott, has a nice cushion to just continue to throw the way he's throwing. Hard, aggressive.
You can tell he is much more ready to pitch today than Ken Hill. Yeah, I watched the Angels today. It's been a frustrating couple of days for them. They're kind of sitting around their clubhouse. There was no batting practice, and you can tell in their play they're a little flat. But the Yankees, and particularly Wells, after the long layoff, is very sharp.
Cecil Fielder hearing the boos. You don't say I want to be traded from the Yankees and endear yourself to Yankee fans. Even little guys like that understand. You don't want to play for my team.
There's a lot of them here too. I mean, they keep filing in about upwards of 30,000.
This is more than 30,000 here, I think.
Terrific crowd.
Cecil's playing this year not for the $7 million plus he did last year, but for $2 million. It's a big drop off.
Tough to make ends meet on that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to do it, but
he'll find a way.
I'll tell you what, that first at bat, this photographer says, "Nah, I'm not giving it to you. This is mine." So he'll have to wait to catch his own. That first at bat looked eerily similar to those at bats that we saw far too many of for Cecil Fielder last year, when it looked as though his bat speed on the fastball just wasn't there. Wasn't there. David Wells strikes him out for a second time. Well, we talked about a lot of people who've done a lot of extra effort to make this day of baseball possible. One of the people we spoke to is the man who's in charge of Shea Stadium, Kevin McCarthy. Give me a sense of some of the little things that people might not realize that have gone into making this possible.
The space in between the two games, the cleanup of the stadium for the second game, the traffic clearing out, the parking problems. But it's been working out fine so far.
What's been the most difficult part?
Helping the fans out with their Yankee tickets, because we don't have exact locations for them here. We're accommodating them as much as we can, but
But Yankee fans are smart enough to pull this off, right?
Yankee fans are great so far.
Kevin is the least annoying of the two McCarthy brothers that we know well. Mike McCarthy is the executive producer of MSG and Fox Sports New York. And
I got my marching orders early. Don't go on the grass. Don't step on the grass.
Don't go near the grass. And of course, their dad was the legendary Johnny McCarthy, who was just such a big part of the Lindsey Nelson, Ralph Kiner broadcasts in the 60s and 70s. When it rained, here comes the Johnny McCarthy ground crew. So Kevin's the most successful of the McCarthy brothers, and we thank him for his time in helping explain how this day got pulled off. Three and one, David Wells to Jim Edmonds.
And what was nice, Al, and Kevin referred to, is when fans walked in this morning, out on the message board it said, if you're holding a ticket at Yankee Stadium, for example, for such and such a section, you go to the picnic area, or you go to the,
right,
the bleacher seats. So the fans had, they knew immediately where to go and where to find their seat.
It really looks as though it's worked out as smooth as possible.
Well, you mentioned the people here at Shea Stadium. They've been so accommodating right from the moment you walked in this morning.
Parking lot guys. I mean, just great. Full count to Edmonds with one away. Oh, Wells is on top of his game. Strikes out Cecil Fielder, strikes out Jim Edmonds. And he's got 5 strikeouts now today.
Yeah, he's beating a lot of them with his fastball. He beat Cecil Fielder with it. And Edmonds, who did get the lone hit on a single to left field, pulls away from that one. Wells has great command of his fastball so far.
The hitter is Phil Nevin. He's going through a career change.
Top draft pick out of Cal State Fullerton with the Astros. Very confident young man. Terry Collins said he made the adjustment to catcher this spring quite well, natural.
Nevin's gone on record as saying he really believes he was mishandled when he was drafted by Houston, and that Ken Caminiti was sitting there before him, and he just didn't think he was going to get a shot.
That's why I don't like the draft. Wish they'd abolish it. I mean, if they're going to draft him to play third base and they got Caminiti sitting there, why draft him? But if you didn't have the draft, then players, you know, when they were scouted, they'd say, well, let's take a look at this team. They need some outfielders, they need some infielders, and you might be able to go where you can move up the ladder a little quicker.
Nevin's gone so far as to tell all his friends and relatives, which used to mean, I don't know, 20, 30 tickets a game. He says, you want to come see the Angels play? You get yourself some tickets and don't be hanging out with me in the clubhouse. This is my job, and I don't want you bothering me at work. So he's trying to clear his head and take full advantage of this chance with the Angels. And there for a strike, 3-2.
I like the music here before the game.
Yeah, it's got a rocking sound to it.
It's some nice oldies. You know, no cartoons and a lot of the things that you have at Yankee Stadium, but the oldies, a little Frankie Lyman, the Coasters, Roy Orbison.
Has the strike. Misread the scoreboard. Now it's a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Boy, his fastball has a little extra pop to it to my ear today.
It's got some pop, and you can almost tell. It's not that the Angels aren't trying, but they're flat. I mean, this has been a long 2.5 days for them just waiting to play this game, and it shows.
Haven't seen the apple pop up today yet, but some hits by the Yankees for sure. Here's another foul ball. Yankees have 5 runs on 10 hits. From the boys in the truck, we have the Aflac Trivia Quiz.
Wow.
What was Jim Cott's career record at Shea Stadium?
0-6 probably.
No, come on, give it a good shot. Try and guess.
Let's see. Number 1 with the Cardinals. I don't know. I'd say 2-2, 2-4.
All right. Big swing. How about that inning from David Wells? He strikes out 1, 2, 3 Anaheim Angels. Fielder, Edmonds, Nevin put a K next to their name, and we'll be back on MSG in a moment with the Yankees up 5-0. Yankees Angels today, Mets and Cubs by night. 5-0 Bombers here at Shea Stadium in Flushing, and look at the crowd that's come out today underneath cloudy skies. Now tonight, the Islanders and Rangers collide at the Garden, 7:30 on MSG. Meanwhile, the Nets take on the Hornets at 7:30 on Fox Sports New York 2. Brodeur faces Hasek when the Devils host the Sabres on Fox Sports New York 3. Tomorrow, the Islanders skate against the Lightning, a 7:30 start on Fox Sports New York, while LJ and the Knicks hit the hardwood against the Raptors on MSG. It's all coming up this week. Be sure to check your local listings. And there is Bob Shepard, 48 years of introducing the New York Yankees. And finally, he's got a new venue to go with Yankee Stadium and Giant Stadium and now Shea.
Put it on his resume.
Tino Martinez hitting .317. Omar Olivares is the pitcher for the Angels, but I guess Shepard was here at Shea. You know, I came to a couple of games in the 70s when the Yankees were here. He had to come along.
Sure, yeah, he would have done the PA during '74 and '75.
High pop up, Nevin. 1 away.
It's a new Angel pitcher, Omar Olivares, coming in to take over for Ken Hill. Ken Hill with his roughest outing of the year. He hadn't given up a run until today.
So Ken Hill is chased after only 4 innings, 5 runs, and 10 hits. And that'll change his perfect ERA in a hurry.
Olivares actually pitched for Joe Torre during his Cardinal days. Split last year between Detroit and Seattle.
Darryl Strawberry is 1 for 2. Fly to center field and reached on an infield single. Play by Ken Hill where he didn't even make a throw to first. Just a little number in front of the plate. It's in on the knees. 2-0.
Don't know if we'll get a chance to see Olivares field the ball, but you're looking at, I don't know if there's a better fielding pitcher in the major leagues than Omar Olivares.
Darrell goes for it as the pitch breaks low, 2-1.
That's the zone, down and away, and Olivares either with a splitter or a changeup going down and away to the left-hand hitter gets Strawberry to commit.
There's an indication of how a pitch like that can fool you. Darrell swung, which means he thought it was going to be in the strike zone. Another foul ball, 2-2.
I wonder if the background, there's a target up there for Strawberry in the upper deck. Couldn't tell it by the way O'Neill and Martinez are swinging a bat, but I wonder if the background is a little different. No batting practice today for either team. You know, just picking the ball up out of the pitcher's hand.
Darrell sends this one high and deep and gone. The greatest home run hitter Shea Stadium has ever known. It's his 127th career home run here in Flushing. Whoops, stop it right there. There's no NY in that apple. But the intention was good as Darrell Strawberry raises the apple and gets the fans to rise from their seats.
There are very few hitters that can drive the ball to the opposite field. Willie Stargell's name comes to mind. But that's the difficulty of pitching against a hitter like Strawberry. Is even on a pitch out away, you know, most hitters that might be a little bit of a fly ball. They want him to come out.
And he does. That's the kind of moment you come out to a ballpark for.
As a fan and a player.
Absolutely. He's now hit more here than, well, he already had hit more here than anyone else, and he's got 127 in his career.
Did a few of them that year.
Ground ball. That gets through, and Chad Curtis has his first hit of the day. Darrell Strawberry to the opposite field, showing tremendous power.
Yeah, look at Nevin's glove, the way he's going to reach. So see, it's out away. Now, a lot of left-hand hitters can hit line drives out that way, or maybe long fly balls, but to drive it, I mean, he drove that to the opposite field like a right-hand hitter pulling the ball.
Now they hit the button to raise the apple, and then it got to the logo, and they went, whoops.
Yeah, wrong team. A few more hours before they want that one to pop up.
Now, we would have all been really impressed if they had gone over the Mets logo with an NY, you know, in time to get that happening. Jorge Posada flied to center field and doubled in the fourth. Later scored a run. It's all Yankees so far here today. You know, it's amazing, Jim. You would almost expect, you know, if you were going to write the book, Darrell comes back to Shea triumphantly, his career is being saved, and he hits a home run, and then he does it, you know?
Yeah.
Posada got a piece of it, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, it's just it's a little bit of a preview of what things are going to be like here in late June when the Yankees come over for that 3-game series.
That's going to be the real deal.
If Darrell is still playing well and playing in left field, that is going to be some series.
Here on the Diamond Vision during the break between innings, they've been replaying moments of last year's series at Yankee Stadium. Remember how great that was?
Oh.
That was a great time at Yankee Stadium. It's the only game in progress right now in baseball. On the big scoreboard here at Shea, Jorge Posada is struck out by Omar Olivares.
Shaking his head, but as a catcher now, he's got to keep on the good side of Jim McKeon, the home plate umpire.
All right, let's see here. Jim Cott said he thought his career record at Shea was like 2-2, 2-4. Let's see what it was.
2-2. Yeah. 2-2. One. I remember the first win had to be against the Yankees in '74. I think Bobby Bonds made the last out, and then when Whitey Herzog took over the Cardinals, I'd been pitching in relief. He said, "Have you started lately?" I was 41 or 42. I said, "No." He said, "Well, why don't you start and give us a few innings?" And I ended up pitching 10 innings, and Kenny Reitz had a solo homer off Neil Allen to win it 1-0.
How about that? Jim Cott, no surprise, right on target. That's in the glove of Garrett Anderson. And the Yankees are retired, but Darryl Strawberry hits one long. About 385 feet here at Shea Stadium. It's the Yankees up by a half dozen to nothing. I'll see you on the post game. Ken Singleton back with Jim Cott in a moment.
Well, 6-0 Yankees. Boy, David Wells has been sharp. Hadn't thrown many pitches. Lots of strikes.
Hadn't walked anybody today in last inning. Picked up 3 strikeouts. First Cecil Fielder going down. Jim Edmonds taking the same route just to make everybody happy. Three's a crowd. Nevin's gone. There the numbers. Our New York Marriott Marquee matchup for the afternoon. Ken Hill's day is done. 4 innings, 5 earned runs, gave up 10 hits. It's the roughest he's been treated this year. And David Wells has been sailing along, hasn't walked anybody, and struck out 6.
The Angels will be glad to get out of town, won't they? I mean, you sit around for 2.5 days waiting to play, and then halfway through this one, they're taking a thumping.
There's only so many tours you can take. Here's Garrett Anderson. He's going to lead it off for the Angels here in the 6th inning. He was a strikeout victim. Swings here at the first pitch of the 6th inning and lifts it high in the air to left field. Chad Curtis will put it away, and there's one down.
You mean that circle line won't just keep going round and round? You just stay on that baby all day.
Well, every once in a while you might take the Statue of Liberty tour. You know the strange thing about that? That people that live in New York, all the years I lived here, for 19 years I lived here, only went to the Statue of Liberty once. You know, that's the sort of thing that native New Yorkers don't do, but the tourists, they come to see it. Yeah?
It's like growing up as a kid in southwestern Michigan where the Tulip Festival, a Dutch settlement. I never went to the Tulip Festival. People from out of town would come in and go.
Here's Paco Martin, who grounded out to short. David Wells has allowed just 1 hit. First pitch misses inside for a ball. He has been fantastic. He has faced the minimum amount of batters following the base hit by Edmonds in the 2nd inning. The Yankees turn a double play on Phil Nevin. So it's a lot of pitching from the windup today for David Wells. There's a call strike. Jim McKean, the veteran umpire, 26 years in the American League. Played in the Canadian Football League. As we look at some of the signs I used to follow when I was driving around, my first driver's license. Years gone by, my goodness. Where does the time go? Here's the 1-1 pitch. And this is lifted in the air to short center field. Easy play for Bernie Williams as he comes underneath it, makes the catch, out number 2.
So when you were a kid, you took the subway, and then when you got your license, you actually drove out here?
Oh, big time. You know,
really?
Hey, you can bring all your friends.
Had a date, sure.
Yeah, well, not all the time. I wanted to see the game.
They're jammed in here, and as Al said, everybody from the parking lot attendants from the moment you arrived at Shea Stadium today just could not have been nicer, more accommodating. Make this a memorable day for baseball fans.
That ball's hit hard by D. Sarcina, but it's going to be right at Chad Curtis. Another 1-2-3 inning for David Wells. He is on a roll this afternoon, and so are the Yankees. They lead it at the end of 6.5 to make that 5.5 6-0. Fans, New York Yankee baseball is brought to you by Hertz. For business, for pleasure, nobody does it exactly like Hertz. Omar Oliveira is pitching to Chuck Knobloch, who's got a good afternoon going. He has scored a run, 2 for 3. Pitch misses. Ball and a strike. Oliveira, when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals, used to wear 00 for his number. Omar Oliveira.
Kind of fitting that he broke in with the Cardinals. There's a lot of father-son combinations that have played Major League Baseball. Some big names, of course, like the Berras, but you don't think of Oliveras. His dad, Ed, played for the Cardinals in the early 60s. That's who Omar broke in with in the 90s.
Kind of bounced around of late. He's been with the Phillies for a while, the Tigers. In fact, split time in '97 between the Tigers and the Seattle Mariners. Starter and a reliever. Pitch is hit high in the air to fairly deep center field. This is going to chase Edmonds back. Almost to the warning track. He makes the catch, and there's the out.
Well, a lot of good memories at Shea Stadium. But let's flash. Wow, what is this? Ralph Kiner. Who's that? Who's that young stallion?
Wait off this side and turn up here like that.
That was in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Allows your hands to work
Instructional league.
And then we're.
They tried to turn me into another Ralph Kiner. It didn't happen.
So you won't drop
Look at
your
those
hand.
pipes, man. He's been in the weight
And then
room.
the third thing I think.
So a little batting instruction from Ralph Kiner.
That was
You remember it like it was yesterday, don't you?
Yeah, because I remember one game in particular in the instructional league. Ralph had been talking to me before I went up to hit. I hit a home run. I come back, of course, like all good batting coach. He says, "That's what I'm talking about."
Well, I saw him working with your back leg, like turning your back leg into the.
Just trying to get my hands. It was a long time ago. It's hard to remember. Of course, he must have made an imprint on my mind because I went on to become a better hitter than I was at the time.
And that was 1971.
71, yeah. Here's Jeter. At a base hit.
That must have been Miller Huggins Field.
Al Lang.
It was at Al
Lang, yeah. Shigetoshi Hasegawa is warming up. Breaking ball hit hard by Jeter, but on a hop to D. Sarcina. And there are two down. Jeter with a solid out, so he has to take that back to the dugout with him. He's now 1 for 3 with a sacrifice today.
Now with the days off, Terry Collins probably going to run some of his bullpen pitchers out there for an inning apiece. The way David Wells is pitching, Joe Torre's bullpen will get another day off.
O'Neill has had a great afternoon. He is a home run away from the cycle. A single, a double, and a triple.
See, if you looked at, now we're talking about Cecil Fielder and his slow start and talk about hitting in general, just zero in on Paul O'Neill's hand action. His hands don't move up and down a lot. There's some action, but watch, they stay in just about the same place around his shoulders. And that's why I think, you tell me from a hitter standpoint, he's always in the ready position. Instead of having him drop down, then you got to go back up. There's just too much wasted movement. That's just a perfect swing, perfect hitting position.
The least amount of time it takes to get the bat through the zone. That's what you need. Ball is hit high in the air. He was just underneath it. This should be the third out of the inning, and it's going to be Edmonds who puts it away. So the Yankees go quietly. Only the second time today they've gone 1-2-3. Omar Olivares does the job. Who played 6 full here at Shea Stadium, and it's been all Yankees, 6-0.
Fox Sports News.
Well, the Bronx Bombers have been doing it up in Queens today. They lead the Angels 6-0. Good look at David Cone. Of course, David Cone has a lot of good memories about Shea Stadium. This is where he began his major league career. Well, he also had a chance to ask David Cone about his Shea Stadium memories.
It was bizarre. We had a police escort over in Midtown, and we're in full uniform on a bus. But you got to look at the fun side of it. Everybody's wondering what's going on with Yankee Stadium. What are we going to do? Everybody's worried about their own status. But really, this is a fun day. It's history in the making, and we've got to enjoy it while it lasts.
And David Cone, he mentioned history in the making. Only the first time this century that 4 different teams have played in one ballpark on the same day.
I think that's one of the reasons David Cone wanted to come back to New York and play for the Yankees, because of the history, the tradition. He refers to it more than any other player, how important it is to be a Yankee and what it means to wear that uniform.
He's very interested in the history of the game as Darren Ehrnstedt leads off. I sit down and talk to David, and he wants to know all about Jim Palmer. What was Jim Palmer like? A great pitcher like Jim.
And that's good to hear. Unfortunately, during the baseball season, when they have the Hall of Fame induction, there's 2 teams that go up there to play. There's no really time off where players can go to Cooperstown. Every player should take an opportunity to go to Cooperstown, New York. I've got a little piece of Posada there. But go up to Cooperstown and tour the hall, and you'll see Jackie Robinson's plaque there, Tom Severs.
Casey Stengel and Gil Hodges, 2 of the managers of the Mets. I played for Gil Hodges when I was with the Mets. Oh, and 2 the count. Wells has been sailing along. Pitches pop foul, and this should make it to the seats. Losado over for a look, but that's all he's going to get.
Now, when you see David Wells pitching a good game and that box score tells you how good it is, you can bet one thing. He has excellent command of his fastball, and he has a good fastball. His whole game revolves around that. He usually gets a lot of fly ball outs. Today he has a little higher number of strikeouts than he usually does.
Scoreboard tells it all. It's been all Yankees. Only one hit for the Angels that came in the second inning by Jim Edmonds. Which is fouled off again by Erstad.
Mentioned for those that were not around at the start of this game, the Tigers series has now officially been switched. The games that were going to be played in New York this weekend at the stadium will be switched to Tiger Stadium. There's the times and where they'll be seen. And then the following weekend, the Tigers will come back into, they are hopeful that they'll have Yankee Stadium ready by then.
Fastball is hit high and deep to right field. O'Neill going back. He looks up. This is going to make it to the bullpen for a home run. An 0-2 pitch hit out of the park by Darren Erstad. His 4th home run of the year. Good looking young hitter. You can see why Terry Collins feels that eventually he'll be batting 3rd in the order.
Yeah, get used to seeing this. A lot like Paul O'Neill, those hands stayed in the ready position, and on an inside fastball he was able to turn on it. Like another home run hitter from Fargo, North Dakota, Roger Maris. You can see Erstad just perfect position watching that ball hit the bat.
See those hips clear?
Yep.
Ooh, fire.
And head movement. No head movement on that. You got Rick Helling, the late Roger Maris, and Darren Erstad. Darren still lives back there in Fargo. The only 3 big leaguers from that part of the country.
Dave Hollins will step in. Grounded out and struck out on the afternoon. Takes a curveball in for a call strike.
And Rod Carew telling him what he did right. Rodney's saying, yeah, I got over 3,000 hits, but I don't know that I hit that many that hard and that far. More of a singles hitter.
Ball hit hard. Jeter stays with it. Nice pick. Plenty of time to throw out Hollins. You got to have the quick hands.
Boy, and you have to anticipate. We've said it before, baseball is a nice leisurely paced game, but things happen so fast down on that field, and this is how fast this ball got to Derek Jeter. That is a sensational play. Just the reactions, because it hopped from the ground up over his shoulder.
Almost took him out in the left center field. Here is Salmon. Foul tip.
You talked earlier in the game about Derek Jeter's maturity, and that play points up. Even though Derek is not off to as good a start with the bat as he's like to be, you'll never see him alter his personality or his approach to the game. And a lot of guys carry that out in the field with them. They get caught back on their heels. They'll make an error or two here and there. Hasn't happened to Jeter.
Hadn't made an error all year. Pitches outside for a ball. Tim Salmon at the plate. There's Chili Davis. Last Sunday, Tim Salmon passed Chili Davis on the Angels all-time home run list. Salmon is now in 2nd place, trailing only Brian Downing, who had 222 home runs as an Angel.
Kind of a disappointing start so far for Chili, coming over to the Yankees with high hopes of being a part of a winning team. And he's going to be, I think he's going to have to sit and watch a lot of this season, because the indications are he may have to have surgery on that injured ankle. It's a torn tendon that he injured on the West Coast, but doctors seem to feel it's an old injury that just resurfaced. And the Yankees are very fortunate to be so deep. I mean, here you have Tim Raines on the bench that isn't even seeing any playing time yet. And of course, Strawberry off to a great start. Chad Curtis.
There's Rock, and there's Darrell, who was the all-time home run leader here at Shea Stadium. Added another one as Salmon strikes out. That's strikeout number 7 for David Wells.
He still has not had to pitch from the stretch except for one time, and what an outstanding curveball. I don't know how David Wells would rate his stuff today, but from up here, the way the curveball is breaking and the sharpness of the fastball, I'd have to say it's pretty close to a 10.
And he's throwing the ball just about where he wants to, too.
Yeah, look right there. That ball looks like it's going to be about shoulder high. It ends up down near the dirt.
Cecil steps in 0 for 2, struck out swinging on both occasions. Cecil came in 3 for his last 30. Now you tack 2 more ABs on there, 3 for his last 32. You were talking about the hand movement. You see all?
Yeah.
That's a lot of movement.
The hands go up and down. And they can go up and down like that if you're Henry Aaron and you got some quick wrists and you can get them out there. But it's obvious in Cecil's case that at this point the bat has slowed down a little bit.
You got about a 1/10 of a second between the time the pitcher lets go of the ball and you swing your bat. Pop up to Jeter. Wells gives up the home run to Darren Erstad, but that's it this inning. The Angels are on the board, but through 6 1/2, the Yankees have the lead at 6-1. Fans on their feet here at Shea Stadium, 7th inning stretch. The Yankees leading the Angels 6-1, bottom of the 7th inning. And fans tune in to MSG Network tonight at 7:30 as the Rangers face off against the New York Islanders in our final Rangers telecast this season. Pre-game coverage begins at 7 o'clock with Texaco Rangers game night. Fans into it here.
Sid, I like the music they play here.
Yeah.
Good pre-game stuff.
New pitcher into the ball game. Shigetoshi Hasegawa comes on to pitch for the Angels. Olivares went 2 innings, allowing a run on 2 hits. See the numbers on Hasegawa, making his 3rd appearance of the year. Young man, 28 years old, from Kobe, Japan. Did a good job for the Angels last year as a starter and a reliever.
They could have a little gathering here at Shea Stadium between Arabu and Yoshi for the Mets.
Hasegawa's in town tonight.
Hasegawa graduated from university over at Kyoto before he started his baseball career. Pitched 6 years with the Oryx Blue Wave. Excellent control. Started picking up his English. Now Charlie Rose is the interpreter for Hideki Arabu, native New Yorker, but Hasegawa picked up, George Rose, and Hasegawa picked up a lot of his English by watching American television programs.
Those Western movies, huh?
Yeah. Probably the Duke taught him a little of his English.
Lucy and Desi. Here's Bernie Williams. Bernie's over 2 with a walk. Hasegawa actually did some commentary during the World Series on the broadcast back to Japan, telecast back to Japan, and looked like he was having a pretty good time.
Maybe he'll, the Angels are going to leave after this game. That's Ramiro Mendoza. Just getting a little side work in since Willie Banks and Hideki Arabu pitched yesterday. Arabu, they faced each other in that exhibition. Ouch.
Ooh, right off of Hasegawa. He stays with it and will throw Bernie out. Oh, I used to hate when the pitcher got in the way.
Boy, he's not happy he got in the way of that one. I mean, if you catch it on the glove or your left arm, but that looks like it might have got a piece of his throwing arm. He's in excellent position. You can see that glove hand try to, and there it got him right on the inside of the thumb. And from an Angel standpoint, we hope that it's just a bruise. Wow.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to leave the ball game, and hopefully it will not be too serious. He'll be able to pitch when the Angels head back home. So Hideki Arabu didn't get to see his countrymen very long, as Terry Collins is going to have to send to the bullpen for another starting pitcher. Of course, he'll have all the time he needs to warm up as we look at this shot one more time.
Yeah, this is how quickly it gets out there, and the glove hand is behind him, and he quick tries to get some protection in there, but by the time the glove hand was there, it had caught the meat part of that pitching hand right above the wrist. And again, we'll give you a little idea how quickly that ball bounces off the bat back to the mound. You said a hitter has, less than
about a tenth of a second.
A tenth of a second, and then when it hits the bat, it's actually going back a little bit faster than it came in. So Hasegawa with even less time. Terry Collins going to bring in Mike James.
Got another look at it, and from this angle you could see, it did get him in the bare hand first. He stays with it and will throw Bernie out, but Hasegawa now back in the clubhouse getting iced down. Manager Terry Collins, who's done a good job with these Angels. Collins' first 3 years in the major leagues, his ball clubs have had winning records. As Mike James warms up, we'll be back with the rest of the bottom of the 7th inning. Yankees on top 6-1. They've out hit the Angels by 10, 12-2. Yankee fans had to get out here early today. The ball game started just after noon. And how about this weekend? The games will be switched to Detroit, so the Yankee fans will have to wait till the next weekend to see the Tigers at Yankee Stadium. As you can see our schedule this weekend. Friday 7:05 on the WB11. Saturday 1:05 right here on MSG. And Sunday they will close out the series at Tiger Stadium on the WB11 at 1:05.
Yeah, that Saturday game is on MSG, and our scorecard show that day will have a look at the new Mickey Mantle Monument down in Oklahoma City. That will be unveiled tomorrow, and we'll have it for you on our Saturday pregame show. Yeah, they used to play here, those Jets, back at Joe Willie's day. While Mike James warms up, Kenny, we could point out to the fans that the Yankees are a couple innings away from doing something they haven't done in quite some time, since 1995, and that's win 6 in a row. They always seem to make history, and the Yankees made history 2 years ago. They were the only team in Major League Baseball to ever win a World Championship without anything longer than a 5-game winning streak. And Joe Torre's team now 6 outs away from winning their 6th in a row. The 95 Yankees under Buck Showalter, of course, made quite a run in September to get to that wild card spot, and they won 6 in a row then. That's the last time any Yankee team did it.
Looks like Mike James is all warmed up. Got to think, how many of these fans are going to stay for the second game? They have to leave the stadium, then re-enter a little bit later.
Yeah, that's what Kevin McCarthy pointed out. One of the big jobs is going to be to get the fans out of the stadium, out of the parking lots, clean the stadium up, so that the Mets and the Cubs, and of course our sister station Fox Sports New York, we got a chance to get exchange greetings with some of our old buddies from our crew last year. Mike Santini is here already. Mike and John Moore, they now produce the telecast. They'll be here tonight, bringing the Mets and the Cubs. And a lot of the service personnel, I was talking to some of them today, they said, yeah, this is like working a doubleheader. I mean, they get 2 paydays, they get 2 games worth, but they're going to be here a long time. It's like those old split doubleheaders.
Tino with a ground ball to second for Paco Martin. This will be the second out of the inning. 2 down. Tino has a couple of hits today, a couple of doubles. And here is Darryl Strawberry, who last time went deep into the bleachers in left center field. For Darryl, it was his 4th home run this year.
And this is back in his Mets days, the leaner version of Darryl Strawberry whipping the ball down into the right field corner for a home run.
Misses inside for a ball. And then just in the 5th inning this afternoon.
That went out away from him and drove it the opposite way.
Darryl, of course, the all-time home run leader here at Shea Stadium. Had a good swing at that pitch from Mike James. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Hitters go through a period of time, and you could identify with it where you feel for the ball. And then there are times when you see it and you attack it, and Darrell is seeing it right now. The first couple games of the season, he was sort of feeling for the ball.
You saw on the graphic, Darrell had an infield single and then a home run. Good pitch by Mike James.
That's what the Stick had to say about Darryl Strawberry on our American Express quote book. Thought there was still something left. And he has done the work. And it shows.
Came to spring training in great shape. I think along with rehabilitating that knee, look, he got the rest of himself together too. Had a great spring. And like the rest of the ball club, went through a little funk there when they got rained out so many times on the West Coast, but then starting to come on with a vengeance. Everybody swinging the bat well.
Yeah, the big question is when you've gone through down times like Strawberry, is the same with Cecil Fielder right now. Can he still turn on a big league fastball? And that's a question he has to answer to American League pitchers, and so far he's answered it pretty well.
6-game hitting streak. There's ball 3, and then we'll run the count full. Chad Curtis is on deck. 2 outs here in the 7th inning. The Yankees up 6-1. And the familiar chants of Darrell used to ring out here 10 or so years ago. Pitch is hit hard. Back through the middle into center field for a base hit. Strawberry's 3rd hit of the ball game. So a 2-out single. Strawberry's aboard for Chad Curtis.
Gonna have to put a danger zone sign on that pitching mound. I mean, open season on pitchers. Shigetoshi Hasegawa driven from the mound by a line drive off Bernie Williams' bat, and now Strawberry again getting great extension. That pitch is out away from him.
Oh, Kitty, not every pitcher has 16 Gold Gloves, so you know what I mean? What you do with all of them?
When you guys that win Gold Gloves, you win them because you give up a lot of shots like that, and eventually you learn it's self-defense. You learn you have to flag a few of them down.
What'd you do with all of them?
I've given most of them away. Got a couple. I got the first one and the last one.
You and Brooks Robinson hold the record for number of Gold Gloves. Brooks has 16.
I was fortunate. When I was a kid, my hero was Bobby Shantz, who was probably the greatest fielding pitcher in the history of the game, and I mimicked him. And you see that with athletes. Successful athletes will mimic players that played before them, pattern themselves after.
Pitch is grounded toward short. Tough hop for DeSarcina. Stays with it and throws out Curtis. And the Yankees are retired here in the 7th inning. They pick up a hit against Mike James. And they leave Darryl Strawberry on. David Wells would take to the hill with a 5-run lead as we head to the 8th inning. Fans, New York Yankee baseball is brought to you by Snapper. Anything less just won't cut it.
A little lighter at Shea Stadium. Raining and drizzly when the game started, and some empty seats. You've been to ball games before. Probably when you came in your younger days, you said, "Oh, let's just stick around and watch Willie Mays get one more at bat."
Yeah, well, yeah, and he wouldn't disappoint most of the time.
And there was a mass exodus right after Strawberry had his last at bat. It's like a lot of the fans today said, "Okay, the Yankees are leading 6-1. Let's watch Darrell hit one more time." Of course, that'll help out Kevin McCarthy and his crew here at Shea Stadium. Darrell in a discussion with Homer Bush because they have to vacate the stadium, the parking lots, clean the stadium, and then get ready for the Mets and the Cubs, who some may have arrived here already, but it's customary for the players to get here around 4 o'clock. Batting practice to start about 5. First pitch to Jim Edmonds in for a strike.
Interesting about the Yankees today, neither club got a chance to take batting practice on the field. They had to do it underneath in cages because of the rain this morning. But the Yankees seem to have taken batting practice during the game.
Defensive swing, quickly 0-2. Edmonds had a single in his first at bat, and then Erstad hit the home run. So David Wells, the only batter he's had to pitch out of the stretch was against Phil Nevin back in the 2nd inning. Nevin grounded in to an inning-ending double play. He's been able to work from the windup. just off the edge. 1-2. 0-2 against the Angels this year. They lost both games out on the West Coast, the Yankees did, and it's an area where I think Joe Torre'd like to see a little improvement in this year's Yankee team. Nevin waits on deck. They handled the Central Division last year very well. They played good baseball against the East. Missed again. It's 2-2, but tough times against the West. Of course, the Yankees run into Randy Johnson and Jamie Moyer, Facero, Chuck Finley. They've got some tough left-hand pitching. But last year they were just 4 games over 500 against the American League West. Breaking ball. Wells not happy as he was ahead of Edmonds 0-2 and has now seen the count go full.
Well, to Edmonds' credit, he didn't chase any close pitches. Tried to drop a breaking ball in, and now the count is full.
Hit well left field, but Curtis is right there. Puts it away. And there's one down in the Angel 8th.
I think that was a case of Edmonds seeing a fastball pretty well and putting some wood on it. Hit it hard, but it was a pitch that might have been out of the zone.
Wow, it looks, I mean, the sun looks like the sun is actually peeking through a little bit here at Shea Stadium, which will help dry the field out a little bit and make it in better condition too for the Mets and Cubs tonight. Here's Nevin. Fly ball to right field, and the first pitch hit fairly well. Now O'Neill retreats and it's gone. Wow, must have got that in a jet stream. Phil Nevin to the opposite field for his second home run of the year, and it's 6-2 Yankees. That got out quickly. That might be a difference in the two ballparks. The stadium, I think it's 385 about in that area.
Oh, here's the pitch out over the plate, and he must have got pretty good wood on it, although it didn't sound like it. And this is against the traffic to the opposite field for a home run for Phil Nevin.
Boy, that was a fooler. At least it fooled me. I mean, you can usually tell by the sound and the trajectory, and that just looked like, of course, he's strong. If you walk around Major League clubhouses these days, Mel just giving David Wells a little breather, a little time for the bullpen to get ready, but you walk around Major League clubhouses this day, you'll think you're in the NFL clubhouses. I mean, these guys are pumping the iron. They're bigger and stronger. He pitched the first Yankee game at Shea Stadium, did Mel Stottlemyre, back in 1974. Garrett Anderson takes high for a ball.
I know that Rudy May started the first game of that doubleheader in '75. The last 2 appearances by the Yankees here at Shea Stadium.
That's in for a strike. That was the game Kenny was referring to, that he played in the last Yankee game in '75 when they played the Orioles a doubleheader. Stanton and Nelson with a few days off now, getting ready in Joe Torre's bullpen. Late on the fastball, and it's 1-2.
Anderson has gotten a lot of advice from Rod Carew as to his approach to hitting. And they feel that eventually he'll hit more home runs. He only hit 8 home runs last year, but did drive in 92 runs, which is pretty good production.
No swing, says third base umpire Terry Kraft. But Garrett last year right up there with Paul O'Neill in opposite field hits. He can really go the other way.
He must have been thinking about it there, although that pitch was a little bit too hard to reach. I always felt if a pitch was too hard to reach, it has to be a ball.
Popped up left side. Curtis near the line, appears to have it measured, and Chad puts it away. That's the second out of the Angel 8th. That'll bring up Paco Martin. Wells doing what he did so well for the Yankees last year, take the game into the 8th inning. There's only 8 pitchers in the major leagues in the last 3 seasons that have pitched at least 200 innings, and David Wells is one of those 3. I mean, when he's right, he's very right. He's predictable in terms of control of his fastball. David, the only difference between him being a good major league pitcher and maybe a little better major league pitcher is to learn how to win on the days that he doesn't have his best stuff. And, when you look at the Greg Maddoxes and the David Cohns and the great pitchers, they don't have their best stuff all the time. They figure out a way to win on the days that they don't have their A game on the mound. Late swing by Martin, and it's 0-2. Wells consistently ahead of the hitters all day long. A lot of first pitch strikes.
This one kind of drops off the table, maybe even out of the strike zone, but Martin is not the type of guy who's going to take many pitches. Hasn't walked all year. He's had 36 at-bats.
And on the hands, fouled out of play, and it's still 0-2. A historic souvenir. Save, yeah, I was there that day that those 4 teams played 2 games. 1 National League game, 1 American League game. He's going to keep that souvenir, probably write the date on there. Struck him out. 8th strikeout of the game for Wells. Surrenders the solo homer to Phil Nevin. Going to the bottom of the 8th, the Yankees lead it 6-2.
And nobody.
This has been a presentation of Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated through the facilities of Hughes Television Network on Madison Square Garden Network. David Wells looks like he got the congratulatory pat from Mel Stottlemyre, as if to say 8 innings is enough. They'll go to the bullpen to wrap it up. Mike James still on for his. Looks like Darren Holmes is going to come in to try to close this one out. Posada, first pitch swinging, straightaway center field. Edmonds is right there. And there's one down. Reminder, this copyrighted telecast authorized under rights granted by the New York Yankees solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publications, reproduction, retransmission, other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Yankees and Madison Square Garden strictly prohibited. Dale Swaim got the start at 3rd today, looking for his first hit. Popped out all 3 times. And that's in for a strike. It's an inning away from concluding a very historic day here in New York baseball. Yankees and Angels at Shea Stadium this afternoon, and then the Mets and the Cubs tonight. First time this century that that's ever happened. That's inside for a ball. And again, a reminder that the weekend series with the Tigers has been switched. The Yankees will probably take off sometime tomorrow for Detroit. They will play the Tigers in Detroit this weekend. That's in for a strike, 1-2. And then the following weekend, there's your television schedule. 7 o'clock on WB11 and 1 o'clock MSG. Our pregame show will feature the unveiling of the Mickey Mantle Monument in Oklahoma City. And then back on WB11 at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Low, 2-2. And then the following weekend, when the Yankees were scheduled to play in Detroit, the Tigers will come, everyone hopes, back to Yankee Stadium. It will be safe for the fans to enter then. We don't have any official word on that yet, but that's what they're hopeful of. And game times have not been announced yet for that weekend series. Full count to Swaim with 1 down here in the Yankee 8th. Stays alive.
Early in his career, Dale Swaim suffered a broken leg, and that really set back his career. In fact, he had to go to the minor leagues for a while. And instead of being a regular, he had been the regular shortstop following Robin Yount in Milwaukee. Then he became a utility type player. Used his ability to play anywhere in the infield and probably the outfield as well.
Again, stays alive. Yeah, he was their #1 draft pick the year that Harvey's Wallbangers, Harvey Keene was the manager that year, that they went to the World Series with Molitor and Yount, Cecil Cooper.
1982.
Knobloch waits on deck. He got it started with a base hit in the first inning. He's got 2 on the day. He's reached safely in every game he's played in. That goes all the way back to spring training. Swaim down on strikes, and there's now 2 away in the Yankee 8th.
First strikeout for Mike James, who had a horrible spring with the Angels. In fact, he was the primary setup man for Troy Percival last year, and he pitched so poorly that Terry Collins hesitated to use him at the beginning of the season. Now he's starting to find a life on his fastball again. You saw some movement down and away, and he might get back in his role as the primary guy to set up Troy Percival, the closer for the Angels.
He followed teammate Chuck Finley's lead by getting the blonde hair dye, the Billy Idol look like Finley has. Very fitting for Californians. Pitch to Knobloch inside for a ball.
So that little tail on the fastball running on the hands of Knobloch during spring training. Neither the velocity or the movement was on the fastball of Mike James, and he was just getting hit hard. Had an ERA over 10.
2-0. Well, if Knobloch and Jeter could find a way to get on base, Paul O'Neill would get one more crack at the cycle. Singled in his first at bat, then doubled, then tripled. And he's ready. Bat in hand. 3-0. Be an interesting 9th inning. The Yankees with what you would assume a comfortable 4-2 lead. But the one guy who, by his own admission, is not pitched up to expectations is Darren Holmes, and he's going to get a chance to come in and pitch the 9th inning. With the principal owner sitting about 10 feet from the Yankee dugout, who has put a little extra heat on him, saying that the young man from Colorado has to start contributing. There's George Steinbrenner along with Mayor Giuliani. He called on his good friend Mike Ilitch, the owner of the Detroit Tigers, did George Steinbrenner, and somehow or other they, as Knobloch draws a walk, they agreed to switch those weekend series. That's going to create, I'm sure, a problem for Detroit ticket holders too. I mean, you can imagine sitting back there in Michigan if you were going to come see the Yankees next weekend. Now all of a sudden you've got to change your plans and figure out a way to make it happen this weekend.
Yeah, what if you're going to take Aunt Minnie to the ballpark on her birthday? You know, and all of a sudden
can't change her birthday.
No, you can't.
Jeter 1 for 3 with a sacrifice bunt in the first inning. Late on the fastball. That's probably a perfect example of Derek anticipating the fastball in, but he really pulled off of that pitch with his front side. Oh, and 2.
When I was hitting, I didn't like the fastball in either. That was my weakness. But what I would do early in the series, a 3-game series, I would look exclusively for that pitch first 2 times up. And I'd try and hit it hard. If I pulled it foul, it's okay. I just wanted to hit it hard. It would get the pitchers thinking maybe he's looking in there, we'll move it away.
Just to show the pitchers that you could turn at it. Well, they're heading back to the subway stop there at Willets Point. You can see the traffic beginning to leave the parking lot here at Shea. Just missed 1 and 2. The same is true from a pitcher's standpoint, Kenny. Even though if you're not a particularly hard thrower, and I wasn't, always tried to rear back and muscle up on a high fastball occasionally just to show a hitter that you might have a little bit extra on the ball, just to put that thought in his mind. Knobloch was thinking about going and just got back in time.
The Yankees with a, I guess you could call it a comfortable 4-run lead, but You make it that 5th run. You get that 5th run and put it up on the board there to give yourself a 5-run lead. That eliminates a grand slam tying the game.
Yeah, managers point to that late in the game. They like to expand that lead if they can and get it to 5. Knobloch is off. Nevin's throw is a little bit high, but he gets him anyway. So Knobloch gunned down, stealing by Angel catcher Phil Nevin. And we're heading to the 9th. Darren Holmes appears to be ready to come on and wrap it up. We'll be back with him on MSG after this. Well, David Wells is on the mound. 6-2 Yankees. He's going to try and complete it. Darren Holmes just getting a little work on the side end, evidently, down in the bullpen. And if you just joined us on this historic day, 40,743 on hand here this afternoon. And it's been a lot of Yankee offense,
including Dodge drive of the day, Darryl Strawberry in the 5th inning. A solo home run to left center field. Strawberry is the all-time home run leader here at Shea Stadium. That was his 127th home run in this ballpark.
Also with a little defense. Let's take a look at our Hoover pickup of the game. Wells has been sharp, getting ahead of hitters all day long, but it took a little defense. This by Bernie Williams earlier in the ball game. That's our Hoover pickup of the game. Add off the bat of Paco Martin back in the 6th inning, and DiSarcina takes ball 1.
DiSarcina's hit 23 career home runs, 2 of them off David Wells. And these are the situations. I bet you the games where Wells is way ahead. So they got the 9th place hitter up. I'll just shoot one in here, see what happens.
High ball hitter, high ball pitcher.
Yeah.
Ball's behind now, 2-0. David Wells has had to work from the set position, just 1 hitter the entire ball game. That's him for a strike. Solo home run by Erstad in the 7th. Another solo by Nevin in the 8th. And then Edmonds' single back in the 2nd inning put Wells into the stretch position, and he got a double play to end the inning. Fouled out of play down the right side. This will reach the seats, and the count is even at 2-2. So it appears that Kevin McCarthy and his crew here at Shea Stadium will have, at least barring a comeback by the Angels, they will have ample time. We did not get official word, but the rumor was that no inning would start after 4 o'clock if, in fact, this was an extra inning game or something, so that the crew would have plenty of time to clear the stadium out for tonight's game. But what a remarkable crowd at the last minute to switch the venue and have 40,000. Of course, many that held tickets to Monday and Tuesday's games, those were honored. Again, fouled out of play. And one of the questions going around was, why didn't the Yankees and the Angels play here yesterday? And one of the problems the Yankees said was getting the tickets, getting the information, and getting the tickets situation lined up so that fans, could come to yesterday's game. They just didn't feel like they could accomplish that in 24 hours. Left field. Curtis on the run. Back at the track, looking up, and gone. Another solo home run. The 3rd in his career off Wells, and DiSarcina hits his first of the year to make it a 6-3 ball game.
See, that's what I was talking about. Get to a point, gun it in there, see what you can do with it, and DiSarcina rode it out of the ballpark. So, he had a comfortable lead, has a 4-run lead. This is the first hitter of the inning. You don't want to walk him. Throws it in there, and DiSarcina connects. That's his 24th career home run, 3 of them off of David Wells.
And here's Darren Erstad, who has 1 of the 3 home runs the Angels have hit today. That's high for a ball. It's a catfish hunter kind of game, or Fergie Jenkins. They would give up a fair amount of home runs, but most of them were solo shots, and when they had a comfortable lead. Two and 0. Little concern with a 3-run lead in the 9th inning and nobody out. Now 3-0. Stanton and Nelson both ready. Hollins, the switch hitter, on deck.
David Wells has thrown 108 pitches.
And it's been pretty much of an effortless 8 innings until that. That's the telltale sign. I know he wanted to finish it off. He had 5 complete games last year. But a home run and a 4-pitch walk will indicate to Joe Torre that he needs to make a pitching change. So David Wells will go 8+ innings and leave this game with a 6-3 lead. Those are the left of our left of the 40,000 plus appreciate his effort, as do his teammates. A little disgust because he wanted to close the door. Jeff Nelson coming on to pitch for the Yankees. We'll be back on MSG after this. 6-3 Yankees, and the Angels threatening here in the 9th inning. They've scored 1. They have a man on with nobody out. Reminder that we'd like to have you tune in to MSG Network tomorrow night at 7:30. The Knicks continue their playoff push against the Toronto Raptors. That's our final Knicks regular season telecast this season. Pre-game coverage will begin at 7 o'clock with the MCS Cannon Knicks game night. That's tomorrow night. Knicks and Raptors. Those Raptors delayed the Nets playoff spot for a night by defeating them last night. Jeff Nelson, always among the league leader in appearances, comes on for the 8th time this year, as you see his pitching line.
77 times out of the pen last year for the Yankees, one of the busiest relievers in the league.
So he'll switch Dave Hollins around to the left side, and then you have Tim Salmon and Cecil Fielder, and if it gets down to Jim Edmonds, we will see Mike Stanton in the game. Hollins 0 for 3 against Wells with a strikeout.
Tino's going to play behind Erstad. Even with all that speed over at first base.
Hit for strike. That's his line today, and career-wise against Jeff Nelson. Hollins still looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 5. On the run. Grounded towards second. This will eliminate the double play. Knobloch's only play to first.
Well, like a lot of the Yankee runners that Joe Torre has given a green light, Darren Erstad has a green light as well from Terry Collins. Although he is a relatively young player in terms of service in the league, Erstad has the type of speed and judgment that the manager lets him go until he shows him that he's trying to go on the wrong pitches.
And particularly against Nelson, like most guys that are 6'6", 6'7", which Jeff is, it takes him a little longer to deliver that ball to home plate. Here's Salmon. Late on that one. Wow. Just fouled into the stands behind the on-deck circle. He's done well against Jeff Nelson, and as you pointed out, the early part of this ball game, the Angels made sure Tim Salmon got lots of at-bats this spring. He is always a slow starter, but not this year. Stanton is waiting and ready in case he has to face Jim Edmonds. Back to the backstop. Erstad will advance to third. And it's a ball and a strike to Salmon.
Not much chance for Posada on that pitch.
It's one of those games, if you're Joe Torre, you can see the shot of him on the bench. That one past Posada with not much chance to lay leather on it. You see Joe's going to going to the cooler. I mean, it's been a comfortable kind of a game. Wells has been in command. They get off to a 6-0 lead, and it almost looks like it's going to be a laugher. Ground foul, and it's 1-2, and yet you get to that 9th inning and you look up for that solo home run. You say, wow, one more base runner. They've got the tie and run at the plate, and the heart of their lineup coming up.
One thing about the Yankee bullpen from a year ago, they had the best rate for inherited runners. Only 1 out of every 4 scored.
3 outside. 2-2. That becomes a team thing. The bullpen, a team within a team, is that, well, you hate coming in and giving up somebody else's runs. That's the worst feeling in the world for a relief pitcher. Erstad is Wells' responsibility. Popped up right side. Appears to be playable. Tino Martinez in foul territory will make the grab. And quickly gets it into Posada to hold Erstad at third. So the Yankees now 1 out away from winning their 6th in a row.
Tino makes a nice play here. Watch him 360 and fire to the plate. One hop. Posada knocks it down. Erstad didn't even tag up.
So not since 1995, when they made that September push to get a wild card spot, not since then has a Yankee team won 6 in a row. And they're 1 out away from doing it right now, and they'll try to get out their former teammate Cecil Fielder. Strike 1. Bullpen trying to hang in there and do the job till the ace closer Mariano Rivera gets healthy. Erstad takes his lead. Outside, 1-1. Last report on Monday during the workout, Mariano felt that he was throwing off flat ground, that he was making pretty good progress. Yankees optimistic about him coming on soon, and in the meantime it'll be up to Nelson and Stanton. Just misses. 2-1. Off the edge now, 3-1. All breaking balls to Cecil Fielder. And one more wide one, and Joe Torre will have to go to his bullpen again with the left-hand hitting Jim Edmonds waiting on deck.
That's a key hitter for Jeff Nelson. He could pick up the save himself here.
And it looks like he did. Popped up in the infield. Knobloch makes the call and the catch, and the Yankees have won their 6th in a row. Jeff Nelson saves it for David Wells. Happy Yankee fans. 40,000 plus were here this afternoon to see the Yankees defeat the Angels in Shea Stadium 6-3. Big day for Paul O'Neill and Tino Martinez. Darryl Strawberry with his 4th home run. Yankees played flawlessly in the field. They've only committed 4 errors all year. So it was worth the wait for the Yankees after the 2 postponements at Yankee Stadium. They pick up a win on what will be the last game of this homestand, because the weekend series will be in Detroit. Darryl Strawberry with his 127th career home run at Shea Stadium. David Wells wins it. Lots more to talk about here on our post-game show. Yankees win it 6-3 at Shea Stadium. Back after this on this historic day in Yankee baseball history. Welcome back to Shea Stadium. Yeah, the Mets will be playing here in a few hours, but this afternoon it was the Yankees over the Anaheim Angels 6-3. Let's check it out on the Jeep Eagle game summary. 6 runs, 13 hits. Paul O'Neill, a single, a double, and a triple. 3 solo home runs in the last 3 innings for the Angels. That was their 3 runs. David Wells wins it. And Ken Hill loses it. Big day for Darryl Strawberry. Hit his 4th home run, and he's standing by at field level right now with Al Troutweg. Al?
All right, Jim, a lot of the fans here have stayed because Darryl was a big part of their enjoyment today. In all respects, Darryl, this is sort of a fun experience for you?
Well, it was very fun to be able to come back to Shea Stadium. I think the most important thing was, for our team to get back on the field and playing games. We really needed it. We've been playing well, and we just want to try to continue to play well.
Yankees in a strange situation at Shea Stadium. If you were to write the story, you'd say, you know what, Darryl comes back to Flushing and hits a home run, and that's exactly what you did, going to the opposite field with a lot of power. What did you hit?
Well, I hit a pitch that was up in the zone and away. I've been able to try to just do the little things, not to try to overdo it and try to do too much. And, the team, we all playing good baseball together, and that's what's really important. It's not just one player, it's just everybody.
Of course, all the fans that were here recognized the moment, so you had to come out for that curtain call. You didn't even think about it.
No, I mean, it was a familiar sight, but just wasn't in this dugout before, so it felt good to come out in this dugout and give a curtain call. I was so used to giving curtain calls on the other side for so many years, and to be in the Yankee uniform and give a curtain call at Shea Stadium is kind of special.
I don't know if you knew this or not, and we're looking at a bunch of people waiting for you, but the apple, the apple that pops up when you hit a home run?
Right.
It came up just a little bit to the Met logo, and then they stopped it.
Well, I mean, I'm a Yankee now, so, I don't blame them for doing that, but I remember a lot of times when that apple came up and there was New York Mets there. I had some great years in the stadium, and it's a real good feeling to be back at the stadium.
Darryl, after the start now to win 6 games in a row, the turnaround was so drastic and so dramatic.
It's a team effort. Like Joe talked to us before in Seattle, we need to put it in gear a little bit more, and we need to play the kind of baseball that we are accustomed to playing, and we're starting to play that kind of baseball.
Darryl, thanks a lot for staying and sticking around. Enjoy the bus ride back to the Bronx.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, that's Darryl Strawberry's big home run punctuates this Yankee victory today. And as you can hear, the fans here, the Yankee faithful, are enjoying the moment of seeing Darryl Strawberry back in the Bronx. More from Jim Cott and Ken Singleton. The Yankees win this one 6-3 at Shea.
Well, it was a special day at Shea Stadium. Joe Torre, now you didn't get this kind of press coverage in Montreal, did you?
Nothing like this at all. Looks like one of those presidential press conferences for Joe.
That's Joe Torre in the Yankee dugout, which tonight will be the Cubs dugout holding court. But all in all, with the days off that the Yankees had, I was impressed with the way they obviously were ready to play today.
Well, they swung the bats very well. They had 6 extra base hits, 4 double and triple, and Darryl Strawberry's home run. So they came out swinging the bats right away. It's as if that pent-up offense was ready to explode here at Shea Stadium. It did for the Yankees. They got off to that 6-0 lead, and certainly David Wells was up to it as well. The 2 days off didn't bother him at all.
No, that was good. I mean, psychologically, you can look at that as an excuse as a pitcher and say, oh, I've been off for 2 days. I might be a little rusty, but a lot of first pitch strikes.
A lot of first pitch strikes, got ahead of the hitters, gave up the 3 solo home runs after getting the comfortable lead. Jeff Nelson comes on, picks up another save. So Nelson and Stanton have been doing the job out of the bullpen for the Yankees in the absence of Mariano Rivera. And the Yankees have now, 6 in a row? They are on a roll.
First time since 1995, but now they got to change their mindset. They were going to go home tonight, get ready for a nice weekend at the stadium. Got to pack their bags and go to Motown.
Yeah, but you think about Tiger Stadium, the way the Yankees are swinging the bat, that's a place where you can do a lot of damage offensively. So if the Yankees can continue this type of hitting in Detroit, they should score a bunch of runs.
Yeah, it's a great park for hitters. So the Yankees day off tomorrow, and then they'll tackle the Detroit Tigers this weekend. Those games, of course, being played in Detroit today. Again, the final score, the Yankees 6 and the Anaheim Angels 3. David Wells wins it. He's 2-1. Ken Hill takes the loss. His record also 2-1. Jeff Nelson with his first save of the year. Coming up next, our Jeep and Eagle post-game report with Al Troutweg and Michael Kay. And then be sure to join us again for our game on Saturday when the Yankees take on the Detroit Tigers. It all starts with the New York City Marriott Hotel Yankees scorecard show at 12:30. It'll be an unveiling of the Mickey Mantle Monument down in Oklahoma City. They're heading for the subways at Willets Point. The Yankee fans are. Met fans will be coming in. Principal owner and the mayor enjoyed this one, as did Chuck Knobloch and the Yankee offense. They put 6 runs on the board to make it a little easier for David Wells. Well, it's been a historic day here for us. Of course, another telecast tonight on Fox Sports New York, the Mets and the Cubs. For Leon Schweier, Bill Webb, Eddie Caginelli, for my partner Kenny Singleton, Jim Cott saying so long from Shea Stadium.
This commercial is rated H for
is a Shea Stadium edition of the Jeep and Eagle postgame report. It's brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. Well, an outstanding day for the New York Yankees, and you're looking at one busy subway station here in Queens. And now the field is being prepped for yet another game in the first game this century, which is to be followed by another game in the same ballpark in a different league. And that means taking down the flags of the American League teams and putting up those of the National League teams and resetting both batters' boxes, cleaning the field, and getting upwards of 40,000 out of Shea so that the Met faithful can come in and watch their team take on the Cubs here tonight. Well, there are some people putting in a lot of overtime, extra hours, and getting that cool golden time, platinum time, and all that stuff. Hi, everybody. I'm Al Trautwig, and welcome back to Shea Stadium. It's going to be a weird circumstance because as we go through the postgame, I expect to see some of the Mets and Cubs take the field to take batting practice and just toss the ball around in preparation for their game tonight at Shea Stadium. But the atmosphere here today was really special. All the workers, everybody involved at the stadium, and the fans sensed the uniqueness of it. And you could tell, in spite of the fact that it was raining, that everybody had a real, hey, this is a one-shot deal kind of thing attitude. And the Yankees were also thrilled. I heard David Cone say, hey, this is sort of a fun. It breaks up our week, so to speak, and I'll have great memories of all those big September games we played here at Shea in the 80s. But one of the players who came back to play in his old playground was Darryl Strawberry, and he will star in our highlight package, which is also called, as you well know, the Discover Card Playback Payback. The Yanks are okay at Shea? Yes, they were today. David Wells on the mound, and he had some offensive help. In the bottom of the first inning, Tino Martinez seeing the ball extremely well. Crushes one to right field. It drives in Bernie Williams and Paul O'Neill. Salmon can't play it off the wall. Edmonds on the relay, but it's too late. 3 runs had come across, and the Yankees were up by a score of 3-0. In the third inning, same man, same result. That's Tino Martinez, a double to right center field. It beat Tim Salmon on one hop. A hard hit ball. O'Neill scores. Yankees up 4-0. Then it was Paul O'Neill's turn. He lines one to right. It goes past Garrett Anderson. O'Neill goes all the way to third. Derek Jeter had singled. He scores. 5-0 Yankees. And I mentioned it was a day when the Yankees had the offense and the defense in the form of their pitching working. David Wells striking out the side in the 5th. Cecil Fielder first. Jim Edmonds next. And then Phil Nevin. And later, Nevin would be one of 3 Angels that would hit solo home runs. Wells came out in the 9th inning. Darryl Strawberry launched this home run, the 127th career at Shea Stadium for Darryl. No one has hit more in Flushing than he, as he hits the 4th home run of his season. And now the parking lot is a mess. Hopefully it will empty out before the Met fans start arriving. It's a one-of-a-kind day, and it's a long day of baseball that just keeps going on. Fox Sports New York will have the Mets and the Cubs tonight, and we will have more of our post-game coverage, Michael Kay included. Stay with us.
You are watching the Jeep and Eagle post-game report, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
The new...
They're replacing the pinstripes with Mr. Met. It's his house again. But we're back on the Tri-State Jeep and Eagle Yankees post-game report, and the crew of people here just continues to work on through the day, and we can't say enough about the spirit with which the Shea Stadium workers, Mets employees, the police that were here, the parking lot attendants. This was really a fun day for New York to celebrate baseball, and New York did celebrate baseball today. Now it's time for the Clubhouse Report starring Michael Kay. It's brought to you by the New York Marriott Marquis, Broadway's biggest hit. And Michael Kay's outside the Yankee clubhouse now, which is actually the visiting clubhouse, which is actually the Cubs clubhouse. Either way, I had a blast today. I really did. And if you were a true fan, you'd stay for the Met game tonight too, right?
It was a lot of fun. 40,000 Yankee fans really showed what it was all about. They just did a great job coming here that short a notice, and then the change in the times. I think they did a really good job. I thought the Yankees did a good job, and specifically the people here at Shea. They were so helpful, so cooperative, and they made everything really run smoothly.
As for the game, the Yankees faced one of the hottest pitchers in the American League and beat him up pretty good. That was Ken Hill, who suffers the loss. And this was a game in which, you're worried about the Yankees missing a day, playing Norwich yesterday, losing that rhythm which they showed in the West Coast. That can be a problem. But no hiccup at all.
It didn't happen today, and what it comes down to is this is a situation they were afraid of having another San Diego situation where they came out flat and they lost their groove, which they had in Tampa. But it didn't happen this way. They took some BP the day that the game was canceled. Yesterday they played against Norwich, and they had the right mindset. I mean, I spoke to Strawberry before the game. He said the one thing he was worried about was losing his stroke. Well, he certainly didn't do that, and he disproved Thomas Wolfe. You can, in fact, go home again.
That's very good, Mike. I've never heard that before. Hold on.
This is annoying.
That's a Shea Stadium pause. Anyway, as far as the Yankees are concerned today, they're on the bus heading back to the Bronx. That meant we had to really work quickly to hear what Joe Torre had to say about today's Yankee win.
Because of all the attention, heaped on us, basically, we just feel it's another game. But when so many people are around, and obviously it worked because 40,000 people in the stands, but so many people around, it's something more than just a ball game, and you just can't wait for the game to start. I think that's what we were waiting for, just the anticipation of playing, and then not being able to take batting practice, but early in the game, I think, set the tone for us.
Why the third base dugout? About the Mets and how they pulled this off.
Excuse me?
The overall impressions about how the Mets pulled this off.
I think it was great. I mean, that's as far as I'm concerned, that's a nice bit of cooperation, and I would like to think we'd do the same thing for them if they had a problem. But I think the city of New York, as far as I was concerned, are the winners, and that's the way I would hope people look at it.
Why the third base dugout?
What about it?
As hot as he's going so far.
Well, that's where he needs to hit that home run. I mean, to me, when he's a tough hitter is when he's hitting the ball the opposite way, and I was happy to see that happen because it looked like he tried to pull it first time up when he hit the short fly ball to center field. But he made an adjustment, and it was, it was a big run for us.
Joe, it didn't seem overall like this day could have gone much better.
No, not as far as we were concerned. Obviously they wish they had a better outing from Kenny, but sometimes the extra 2 days hurts, and sometimes it doesn't. It can't help. The only thing it did for us, it gave us the opportunity to get a lead, and Boomer set the tone as far as I was concerned. He got the outs early and really gave us the confidence when we kept scoring inning after inning.
A really crunchy scene in the dugout as far as people were concerned. I would say there were about 30, 35 writers, reporters, radio, TV people. You saw that one reporter literally climb on the shelf behind Joe Torre's head just to listen to what he had to say.
Well, you should see what was going on in the clubhouse. There were about 30 camera crews in there, and what happened, it was almost like a minor league situation or a little league situation. You'd have a guy talking, all the people would be around him, and then a voice out of the blue would go, "Strawberry on the bus, Wells on the bus." So everybody was leaving. They couldn't shower because they came here in the Yankee uniforms, and they'll get right back on the bus. They'll travel to the Bronx, and then they'll shower at Yankee Stadium, and tomorrow night they leave with a bus from Yankee Stadium to go to LaGuardia, and they'll head to Detroit.
All right, let's focus on David Wells for a moment, because obviously he had fabulous stuff today. I thought his fastball sounded like it had a little extra zoom to it.
Well, I think that was a good thing about the fact that they had the layoff for him, and he didn't lose any touch either. He had location, which is important for him, and he gave them what they needed. He gave them the biggest game they've had so far this year from a starter, better than Hideki Arabu. He said he had enough stuff to go the full 9, but he just tightened up toward the end. Well, he wanted it too much, I think, and you'll hear him talk about it.
Let's talk to David Wells now. This is Michael Kay. Near the Yankee clubhouse, the Yankee clubhouse, here at Shea moments ago.
Well, I was happy up till the 9th inning. It'd be nice to go out there and finish it, but I just got a little excited and got a little erratic out there in the 9th inning. Didn't get a chance to finish it, but we got good help out in the bullpen.
Any distractions playing here at Shea, David, that you had to block out?
Pardon me?
Any distractions playing here at Shea that you had to block out?
No, we had one goal of mine is just come in here and play hard-nosed baseball, and the bats were hot today, and I did my job out there on the mound and just tried to go after the hitters, and that's what I did. My game plan isn't too tough. Just go out there and challenge the guys. When you get a lead like that, you just try to throw strikes, and unfortunately I was ahead of the hitters most of the time, and it paid off.
David, you were really able to Shea Stadium and Yankee Stadium?
Pardon me?
Is there a difference in pitching at Shea Stadium versus Yankee Stadium?
Just give me a hill, man. I'll go out there and throw.
David, you were really able to step aside from what's become kind of a circus postseason atmosphere and really focus on pitching.
Well, that's my job. These guys are counting on me every 5 days, and I can't go out there and just go through the motions. I got to go out there and pitch. I know how to pitch. I know the hitters, and it's just up to me to go out there and be consistent. And and if you can do that every time out, you're going to win a lot of ball games. But, you know, unfortunately, it's not going to happen like that. So you just got to make do with what you got and go out there and give 110%, and, you know, whatever happens, happens.
David, how badly did you want to complete this?
David Wells, one of the stars in one of these media events that can only happen in New York. He said, just give me the hill.
Give me the hill, and he took hold of it, I'll tell you that. Gave the Yankees a very, very big start. 6 in a row now, the first time they've won 6 in a row in Joe Torre's tenure. And this team, with a lot of distractions so far this year, really done a pretty good job.
Mike, this is just the one point that I think Joe Torre is going to reach a few times this season. They're playing well now, as well as was predicted. They're winning like it was predicted. You wonder how he keeps the edge for the team to keep playing as hard and as competitively day by day by day.
Well, I think the edge is the fact that the Orioles are in first place no matter how well the Yankees have played, so they have to play well. The Orioles are such a good team, the Yankees could fall far behind if they don't play well.
All right, we'll pause right now on the Jeep and Eagle post-game report. The final score today, 6-3. The Yankees were the transients. The Mets are the incumbents. It's their home again.
You have been watching the Jeep and Eagle post-game report, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
The last time the Yankees played a game that counted at Yankee Stadium, 1975. Here's a scene from my childhood. Bobby Mercer against Catfish Hunter. And believe me, on that swing, Mercer did not go deep. And that had to be from 74, I'll tell you that. They had traded Mercer to the California Angels after that. No, I'm sorry, the San Francisco Giants for Bobby Bonds. Oh, that's a long time ago. A ride from the Q44 to the Bronx to see the Yankees against the Mets. And I would never come here, Al, for a Met game. The
Why?
Yankees had to play because I was a Yankee fan.
I always came to both. I loved both
Well,
teams.
that tells me something about you.
What does it tell you?
You know, you have to take a stand.
I'm fair and even-minded.
You have to take a stand as a child, and I did.
I can still see that serval zipper sign, you know, flashing out in center field because they didn't have lenses to cover the games from center field, so they covered everything from behind home plate, and that darn thing was in there every shot, and you heard the Mets, you know, playing the organ, Jane Jarvis, the whole thing. Mike, I think now as the Yankees take another day off and get set to go to Detroit, and that's another reminder that we can offer the Yankee fans, if you have tickets for this weekend at the stadium, hold on to them. They're good for the same days next weekend, and the same promotions are involved. So if you have this Friday night, it's good for next Friday night. If you have this Saturday, it's good for Saturday, and so on next weekend. Obviously, so much cooperation on so many fronts to make this happen, but the thing that comes to me is that 40,000 Yankee fans on a day's notice came to Shea Stadium.
That's an amazing thing, I'll tell you that they would be able to come here on that day's notice, and also the hour change that they had. The Yankee fans really show a lot today, and the Met people, the way they handle all this, they showed a lot as well.
It was Tino Martinez getting dressed in a locker that was to be shared tonight by Mark Grace, who's here early. Mark, you're one of those guys first to the ballpark. It's good to see you. Can you come up here for a second? Real quick? Sorry. You know, it's live TV.
Live TV.
Did Tino leave your locker in good shape?
Well, I got a message from Chili. He said, Mark, it's great to see you. I was a big fan of yours when I was in high school. You know, that's typical Chili.
And your response?
Well, he left before I could give him a response. That's also typical Chili.
We could pass it along for you.
Yeah, well, this is national TV. We don't want to say that.
Was the locker room nice and neat? Were the Yankees okay about it?
Yeah, they didn't mess it up too good. They were quick in and out. They played great, and hopefully the other New York team won't have as much luck tonight.
We're embarrassed to say we spied in your locker, and there is the note. We have the evidence.
Yeah, he was a big fan of mine in high school. Yeah, thanks, Chili.
Hey, you know what? You were great during the rain delay last week, playing with the fans and all that stuff at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was so much fun to watch.
Well, the weather was so miserable there, and there were some wackos out there with no shirts on in about 30-degree weather. So I said, man, if they're going to brave the elements, let's let them have some fun. I'll tell you what, they're terrible shooters. They were terrible shooters.
Yeah, you set up the trash can and you wanted them to try and throw it into the can. It took somebody a while before you had to give away your shoes.
It was a shoes and a bat. You know, those shoes were so nasty. You know, I didn't want them anymore, so I figured I'd give them to somebody else. But it was a fun thing. It took them about 100 shots, and they finally bounced one in, and it was fun. They seemed to enjoy it.
It was like a Letterman stunt. Hey, Mark, thanks for coming on real quick.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Mark Grace of the Chicago Cubs. He's going to take on the New York Mets tonight, and I think we're done.
Is that it?
You know what? Have we ever had a Cub on?
I don't think we've ever had a Cub on.
We have not had a Cub on
MSG.
since the 1936 World Series.
Yeah, you and I did that game, I think.
Yeah, it was on MSG. That was the called shot game.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we had video. Anyway, we're getting a
Mac
little silly.
Wilson, I think, right?
Yeah, right. We're done. At Shea Stadium in Flushing, the Yankees win this one by a score of 6-3, and they will continue to get this field and this stadium ready for the Mets and the Cubs tonight. The final score today, 6-3, and now the Yankees move on to Detroit. Tomorrow they'll be off. Friday on the WB11. Saturday's the next time we'll see you. It's an afternoon affair from Tiger Stadium. The Marriott New York City Hotel's Yankee scorecard begins at 12:30. Tonight on MSG, it's the Islanders and the Rangers. There could be some rough stuff. Texaco Rangers game night begins our coverage on MSG at 7. As for the Mets and the Cubs, you can find them tonight on Fox Sports New York. David Cohn and Darryl Strawberry returning to the building that they once rocked, Shea Stadium. Of course, David didn't get a chance to experience what Darryl Strawberry did as the Yankees continued to show their aggressiveness on the base paths. Yes, sometimes they paid, but most times they did not. As Jim McKean said, it was time to play ball, and Tino Martinez did, rocking 2 doubles, really on top of his swing today. Paul O'Neill joined him. Bernie Williams contributed some defense, and overall, this was one, including David Wells' pitching, that went all in favor of the Yankees. Yankees baseball is produced by Leon Schweier. Today's game directed by Bill Webb. The replays provided by Andrew Braun, and the graphics provided by Eddie Caginelli. As always, the grand, high, exalted, mystic ruler of MSG is Mike McCarthy. Good night, everybody.